Forgot to make myself known here. Uh, you have to really understand what's going on before you can start talking about solutions. This is how you get malpractice. So, welcome to Straight Talk, the talk show made for men by men. Welcome, everyone. And we are going to talk about something interesting. You guys know we're always talking about social issues and relationships. So, we're going to talk about marriage, really kind of the cost of a relationship. And with marriages being at all-time lows, a lot of guys are getting the message, right? There are laws in place that have told guys that marriage is a bad idea, and even more, it's even saying relationships are a bad idea. You guys remember the gentleman in Canada who ended up paying thousands of dollars a month to a woman he never married, didn't even live with her. So we're going to talk about those situations. When are they valid? How to keep yourself out of this stuff. If you are going to go down this path, what do you do? But we've got some big problems in the U.S. People, men and women, do enjoy relationships. The question now has become, at what cost? And so when the cost of a relationship is much higher than the benefits and the enjoyment, then you're going to look at who's benefiting the most. And if the court system is always pushing to save the woman, especially in a time of equal rights, maybe the court laws need to be completely rewritten, thrown out. We're in a time where women have actually gotten what they wanted, and they're attempting to enjoy the benefits of two worlds. This, I'm independent and don't need a man, and I need everything you own, half of everything you own. So come on in. Like the video as you come in, smash that thumbs up, smash it. We're going to get into this alimony, palimony, common law. So smash the like button as you come in. I see you guys in Instagram. Thanks for joining. Thank you. Thank you. Sydney, always good to see you. Country boy. Zoc City. Is that the right? Am I getting you right? I know you're always here, country boy. I see you. So you guys know I don't always like just giving some opinions. So we're going to look at what the experts say. So share the video for all the men who are on the fence and trying to figure out what to do and what not to do. This is the place to get the facts of life. And if you'd like to join the conversation, well, you actually can. I have a phone number. It's 323-642-1387, 323-642-1387. So if you'd like to join the discussion, if you've ever had to pay palimony, I really want to hear from you. If you have or are paying alimony, like to hear your thoughts about that also. And if you're a guy who sort of slipped either one of those, like you almost were on a hook and you slipped it, like to hear how you did that. Let's give an education to the guys who need to hear someone who is successful, slipping, bobbing and weaving, bobbing and weave the alimony and palimony. You slipped it and came back with a hook. So, what's going on, SW? Good to see you in the house. We're talking about whether it's palimony or alimony. Choose your poison. And I know a lot of guys have just completely backed out of this marriage and cohabitation. Many women are getting a little upset and wondering what's going on and where did all the men go? Someone had, where did all the men go? Someone has that sort of soundtrack. But yes, that is happening. And perhaps we need to rethink the entire court system. So, yep, they've backed out. So, women said, hey, we want to have our own money. And women are bragging that they're making more money than some men. Yet they still want to stick their hand in his wallet. I think the number is about 4% of women pay alimony, which means that's well over 90% of alimony is being paid by men, not by women. Found some interesting laws, even on tax. Instead of me looking at just some Wikipedias, I went to the law firms who actually know the law. And they were saying that alimony is no longer taxed as an income for let's say the women, which is 96% of the time they are the ones receiving it. And the man, the payer, no longer gets the tax benefit, the tax write-off. So that's a change. I saw also in New Jersey, it used to be alimony for life. Can you imagine? For the rest of your life, you're paying, you marry this woman for 10 years and it's split. She wanted out, which 80% of the time it's her saying, I want out. And then for the rest of your life, you're paying her. 2014, they changed that law. But if you're married for 20 years, she could still get that. So come on in, guys. Smash that like button. What's going on, Nick? Thanks for joining. Smash that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, this is a good time to hit that subscription bell and share this. Share this. Let's get into some facts instead of a bunch of opinions. In SW, what do you mean by priorities? Priorities. What are you talking about? So let's see what we have here. So let's look at alimony first. And another thing, at one point, you had to prove who was at fault for the divorce. So there was such a thing as at fault divorce. And I think it was California in 1968, the first one, the liberal state that said no fault divorce. And most states have it. But now there are several states, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14 states still have fault. So 14 out of 50, that gives us 36 states have no fault divorce. And the states that have fault are Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, South Carolina, Vermont, and Virginia. Isn't Virginia for virgins? Oh, it's for lovers, right? So those are the states where there's fault. And I guess that, man, that's They probably make that a task for you. And if we look at Dr. Dre, we talk about prenuptial agreements. Some guys are just saying, "Hey, skip it." That's not even. It's not even worth the effort because Dr. Dre had a prenup, but perhaps there's a lesson in there with him because his attorneys apparently were not good. He's fired his attorneys. What's the verdict that she was getting like $800 million from him? Like she just raped him. He did all the work, right? This guy did the training. He was the businessman and supported him. And, this is making guys step away. A broad's priorities. Well, maybe maybe men have seen what a woman's priorities are, and that's why marriages are at an all-time low. So a lot of guys, you might think, well, I just won't get married and we'll live together. Well, let's get into that. Yeah, you can get foreign wives, country boy, but man, you've got to. I know a guy who got a foreign wife, brought her up from Brazil, made sure she couldn't speak English. He learned Portuguese, and man, that still ended up getting messy. So she's back in Brazil now. So you think Dr. Dre was a dumbass? Well, he's proven to not be too smart in the way he's handling things, man. I mean, damn. Like either this woman is just savvy or she has a great team around her. And whew, they're working his ass over. Well, SW, you know what? I'm gonna say I hear what you're saying. Women don't respect men. Maybe 100% of women don't. I don't know, but there are women who are smart enough to know that if they're going to have any kind of domination in this world, they're not going to do it as women. They need to team up with their men, and those women have been smart enough. And if we look around the world, it's been effective, and this has been going on for a while. So. So whether those women respect their men or not, they respect reality that they wouldn't be doing this without their men. And as a result, their men get resources because those women team up with their men. Not only do they team up, they help develop and train the mindset of their little boys, their sons, how to be a dominant force on the planet. Those mothers play a role in that. See, when you have that split between the men and women, there are women who are smart enough to know to work with their men. It's a wise decision. And the funny thing, SW, is men are the ones who created the fairy tales. There's this whole myth about how creative women are, except if you look at the reality of society, the most innovative, the most creative things, from novels to technology to even the simplest thing, it's men who've created. It's us who are the innovative and creative ones. But we constantly say women they're creative, and we say they create life. They technically don't create life. It's the seed that comes from the man that has the intelligence to do it all. It finds the egg, it fertilizes it, it does the job of fertilizing it, and once it gets in there, it creates the whole placenta, the fluid. It's the sperm that's doing it. It's the woman is. This is a rough thing to say. It's like a woman is almost like a host. You guys ever see that movie Alien? Remember the alien would, uh, I guess, shove something down your mouth, plant a seed in you, and that alien would grow in you and bust out of your stomach. You were just a host. You were not creating life. You were a host for that alien. Um, so anyway, let's get into this alimony and palimony, so we don't have to deal with it like a fairy tale. So what is technically, what is alimony? So we're going to get it straight from the lawyer's mouth, so we don't have to have a bunch of different interpretations. So this is a legal encyclopedia, and it's NOLO is the website. Alimony, what do I need to know before divorce? So what is alimony? So SW, that's interesting. So you're from what you're saying, and I mean, in my words, it's almost like men are standing there and allowing themselves to be just shot at, and they haven't done anything about it. So you don't feel sorry for men anymore. That's interesting, but I get it. You no longer have sympathy for males. They'll never get it. Broads only want attention and resources. Yeah, a wife can, and some women have been disappearing. Some wives and girlfriends have been disappearing. So there has been some retaliation, but a lot of that has been over pregnancy, not alimony, to my knowledge. I mean, that may happen too. We just don't hear about it. So, what is alimony? Just for the record, some states define alimony as spousal support or maintenance. Whichever alimony definition your state uses, alimony involves payments made by one spouse to another. So they say alimony payments are designed to equalize the financial resources of a divorcing couple. And you know, if we, whether it's Dr. Dre, or there are a lot of guys who are worse off, you know, they've been divorce raped. So when they say equalize, I'm not sure exactly what they mean by that, because there are a lot of men who are not coming out equalized. And so alimony is generally awarded in cases where the spouses have very unequal earning power and have been married a long time. So I do know people who married a professional woman and they actually got off. I think they may not even paid alimony, but they paid child support. And the benefit was their wife had great earning power. And that's one of the things that this talks about. A judge is going to assess a woman's earning power. So, and this is interesting. Maybe you guys knew this, but if alimony is ordered, it can be in the form of a lump sum payment, property transfer, or periodic monthly payments. And periodically alimony awards are the most common and require one spouse to pay a certain amount the other. So that's the one we all hear about. But there are lump sum alimony awards, and alimony in the form of property transfer are generally non-modifiable, meaning it can't be changed later, so it can't be terminated or undone. So it talks about, as with most issues in your divorce, you and your spouse can reach an agreement about the amount and length of time alimony will be paid. So I know a woman who tried to get alimony for life, and this was in New York, and she did not get it. She did get it for 5 years, and she was rather upset about that. So it's like I said in the beginning, imagine paying alimony. You're paying a woman who no longer wants to be with you, or you don't want to be with her, or it's amicable, right? And for the rest of your life, you're supporting her. I mean, hell, how many people are supporting even a child like that for the rest of their life, right? You would hope that you're not. So, bring in a couple of callers here. I'm going to bring you guys in one at a time. And if anyone has paid palimony, definitely want to hear from you. If you're paid alimony, still paying it, like to hear it. Or if you're the guy who were able to bob and weave and slip, either one, like to hear your story and share your knowledge to the rest of the guys. So area code 870 and 605. So 870, you're live and on the air with Straight Talk. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, Ted, how's it going? This is boy Kendrick from Fargo, Arkansas.
What's going on? Thanks for calling, Kendrick. How are you, man?
Oh, everything's fine and well, man. Looking forward to this show today.
Very cool. So, what? Any thoughts? Any thoughts on this?
My thoughts so far, I needed this, and a whole lot of other young men out here need to hear this, and hopefully we can learn from other men's failures and their positive experiences dealing with this topic.
Okay, good. And you've got, I guess, a radio or something on a computer in the background. There's an echo. So can you manage that?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm going to be ready to go back on mute to you.
All right, cool. Thank you. 605, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Ted. Hey, Kendrick. This is Joe.
What's going on? Doing? Oh, pretty well. And yourself? How are you, man?
I'm doing fine. And by the way, thanks for looking out for me last week for giving me the domain to see the movies. I took advantage of it. I got something for you today, which I think you like.
All right, cool. Hey, you're welcome.
Okay.
You're welcome. Hey, wait, Joe, quick. How did you get it? How did you
Yeah.
I gave it to you verbally?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. And you checked it out. Perfect. Good to hear.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
And here's something for you which would be good for your research. It's called angryharry.com. angryharry.com. He's located in England. He's been around for at least 10, 12 years. And he's a men's rights activist.
Oh, cool.
And he has the kind of topics that you like to put on your show. So I thought I'd return the favor for you.
I appreciate it. angryharry.com.
Yep.
Okay.
You'd enjoy it. He's got hundreds of articles about men. He's frank too. He's very frank. He practically calls women parasites for certain situations, and he discusses palimony and alimony. I'm fairly sure. Okay. And getting back to your topic about, no, I'm lucky. I don't have to pay alimony, child support, or palimony. And it's one of the reasons why I decided to opt out of the incarceration institution of marriage. So that fast. So I'm interested to hear what you have to. Oh, and by the way, when you gave that definition of alimony, the people who gave it, I think they're kind of technically wrong because they keep saying spouses get payments, and I would think technically, in a legal sense, it would have to be called ex-spouses because technicalities mean a lot in the legal language. So I just wanted to throw that in there. But right now, I'll put myself back on mute and let you go ahead with the difference between alimony and palimony.
Okay. Well, so you're, good catch on that. But I think what they're maybe getting at is before the divorce is declared, it's still your spouse, and you're still negotiating this with your spouse before you're divorced.
Yeah, but they say, yeah, okay. I mean, a person can do that, but I would think that since you read it from a legal dictionary, they would be more careful so that I wouldn't even have to come up with that kind of idea. But I understand the gist of it. Of course, you're not going to pay your spouse alimony and palimony, and she's going to be, or he's going to be, but mainly she's going to be the ex-spouse.
Right.
But
well,
you'd be surprised what,
Go ahead. You know what? Go ahead.
You'd be surprised what kind of legal battles can take place over a comma, over a period, over a semicolon.
Hey, Joe. I have some more calls coming in with Joe. I used to run a translation firm, translations of foreign languages, and we did a lot of work for attorneys, intellectual property, contracts, all kinds of things. And man, that what you just said, one comma out of place can change the entire contract. So it's imperative that you actually have people translating those documents who actually understand the law and have the training and the background in both languages and in the law. So yeah, 100% on point with that.
Yeah. That was a point of rancor for the I forget what. Yeah, about the interpretation of the Second Amendment in the Constitution.
Interesting.
Yeah. Militia versus people. Yeah.
Very
for the firearms. Yeah.
We're gonna take another call here at area code 310, and I want to bring in another. I'm going to bring you guys in, but 310, you go first. Also 647. So area code 310, you're live and on the air with Straight Talk. What's your name and where you calling from?
What's going on, Teddy? It's Reg, West Coast.
What's going on, West Coast? But you're down in Atlanta, right?
Oh yeah, I'm down here. What you want to know about this dump? I can tell you about the dump. All you need to know.
Did you ever avoid any of these alimony, palimony? Did you ever bob and weave and slip them, or did you ever have to pay one?
Well, yeah. Remember, I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. So
right.
I've been down to the family, and I've been down to the family court. So I didn't seen it. I wasn't married, and I never lived. I didn't live with any have a live-in situation. I just had a kid out of wedlock, so right. I know that
that's different.
But I've seen it though.
That's child support, but we're talking about alimony and palimony.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, I heard before I came on. I heard somebody, I guess SW. I guess they said, yeah, I believe any man that gets his ass caught up in this meat grinder now, with all the facts and history and everything, in his face, and he still decides to go down this route to have some kind of what they call it, hope or some fantasy or something. He deserves to get his ass tore up. I'm not gonna feel sorry for it, It's like, if you don't know, that I can accept the fact that you didn't know, but now you know. So and you still the show. So I don't have no sympathy for you. If she wants to tear your ass up, or you want to get caught up in this gynocentric cesspool, then I'm not gonna feel bad for you. I'm not.
Got it. Clear as a bell. No, go ahead. I said clear as a bell. Keep going.
Yeah, because even BOA, he's even said it. He's like, hey, back in the day, we didn't know. We were brought by single mothers. We had this fantasy, whatever. But no, I mean, the nature, just like the nature of the beast been exposed, man. The nature of the beast been exposed.
What do you think of? What do you think of Dr. Dre's? And I'm asking. Wait, one second. Let me bring area code 647. You're live and on the air with Straight Talk. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, how you doing? This is Patrick calling from Toronto. How are you?
Hey, Patrick, what's going on, man? Don't you have a different area code this time? You're different this time, right?
No, it's the same.
It's the same? Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's the same. But
hold, Red. Let him go. Let Patrick go. Go ahead, Patrick.
No, but you asked me. But you asked me about Dr. Dre.
No.
And I wanted to tell you.
Wait. I want Patrick to go. Then I want everyone to talk about that.
I want to
hear
what he has to say. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're wrong. You're wrong. What happened with Dr. Dre was it was a conflict of interest because his lawyer team had already represented him and his wife before on some previous things. So on the technicality, her lawyers came in and said they had to be removed because of this. So now he had to get rid of them and get a whole another legal team. So that's what happened to Dr. Dre. That's all I wanted to tell you. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, well, he's getting a new attorney also. So I guess all the attorneys were thrown out the court because he decimated him.
His attorney team had represented him and his wife together previously on some other stuff. So technically, she brought that up, and her team had them dismissed. So he got to get a whole new team. That's all I wanted to say. How you doing, Patrick? Go say what you got to say, bro.
No, great discussion tonight. I think this is an important topic. Now, I can understand, guys. I can't say that I necessarily fault guys for going and trying to get a family and build a family, because I still think families are very important. However, most men prior to marriage, even if they know some of this stuff, don't know all of it, right? They don't know the full thing. And there's nothing on the marriage certificate on the backside of the marriage certificate, which spells out all of the details of what may happen if it doesn't work out. Right?
Right.
So I don't necessarily fault. I just think that the information is starting to get out here. And I think people are trying to make the most rational choice that they can. I mean, and there's and it's a catch-22, right? So if you're a man and you want to have children, and you're just dying to have children or a child or something like that, and you want to be involved with the child and that kind of thing, still the best option. I mean, the best scenario is a two-person family, a healthy two-person family for the child to grow up in. That's been proven. I think we all know that.
Right.
You can do, make other arrangements and those kind of things. But if you have somebody living there, you're still on the hook, right? If it doesn't work out. So it's kind of a catch-22, So for a young man who's fresh out of school, he's been working a few years, he's starting to make some money, he really wants to have a family because the higher-ups in the corporation, they're all married and have family. He just really wants to have a family. He's stuck, It's not an easy decision for a young man like that. Like for us who are older, it's different, right? But for a young man who really wants that, to say that you shouldn't even try and you're not going to have it, I think the best thing to do is just give them all the information or put that out there so that they can make the best decision for themselves.
So you don't think that they should go down and talk to a family lawyer or go down there and sit in the courtroom and get that experience firsthand like I did? Because after I left there, I already knew I wasn't getting married. I got scared straight. So
right. But there's some like if you look at my situation, you know, I was that guy, right? So, you know, everything was going right, you know, got married, had the kids. To this day, they're like my best friends. They're like, we still, you know, they're both in university, you know, son and daughter, and we're just like super duper cool. But I had an arrangement where I had 50% custody. And I don't want to talk about how that happened.
Yeah, but that's you. Okay, but that's you, man. That's,
yeah, I know.
But that's not the majority.
That's what I was about to say. That's what I was about to say. That's an unusual. That's not a normal outcome. But what I was going to say is that when you have that kind of drive to have a family, you know, and have children, it's not an easy decision. If it's a person that can, you know, hey, I can take it or leave it, then it becomes an easier decision. But if it's somebody that really wants to carry on their legacy and that dreams of having children in a household and family, it's a different discussion. I'm not saying that those men should just jump into it and do it. All I'm saying is that it's a different discussion than for somebody who can take it or leave it or whatever.
Patrick, are you from Canada?
No, I'm not from Canada. I just happen to live here right now.
Okay, you live in Canada. Okay, well, the point I'm getting to is that I'm sure most of us on the line know Joe Rogan. He's got the most podcasts downloaded in the world.
Yeah.
You know him as the okay.
Hey, you broke up.
On a TV. I forgot the name of
Joe,
it.
Joe, you broke up. Repeat that. You broke up.
Oh, can you hear me now? Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got a friend who was a Canadian. He was the star of the TV show, which goes back about 20 years. I forget the name of the show. In any case, this guy was making about $1 million a year. He married a fellow Canadian girl. They got divorced. Now, the Canadian law with regards to alimony is that now the guy who was the star of the series no longer, you know, is a star. He's down in the B list, the C list now. He's never gotten back up to that particular level of fame and income. But the Canadian courts have been telling him for these past years that since he made $1 million during that time when he was married and got divorced, even though let's say he's making only about $100,000 a year now, he's still got to pay his ex-spouse the same amount of money that he was paying before, because now the woman has gotten accustomed to a lifestyle that he's obligated to pay, even though he can no longer provide that lifestyle. So the laws in Canada, in some cases, are worse than the laws in America.
I think
yeah, they absolutely are. They absolutely are.
Right.
You're right, Joe. I think it's just the only point I was trying to make is that the discussion between all of us, who I assume are a bit older, and the discussion with a 25-year-old who's just coming up, who's just starting to come into his own, or the 27-year-old who's just starting to come into his own, who really desires to have a family and children and carry on his legacy. That's a different, like, to discuss this with me now would be a different discussion if you try to discuss this with me at 25, right? Because there's a certain amount of understanding that we need to have for those young men who want these things. So I just think that the discussion is a bit more nuanced. As opposed to when we're all like, no, we would never do it. We never do it. It's just blah, blah, blah. I think for somebody young, it's a different discussion. That's all I was saying.
Well, yeah, but it's all how, you explain it to them. Just like I just said, say, this is a young man. Listen, I understand this and this, but listen to me. As an older man, I would advise you to get legal representation before you do this. And really research this and understand everything that you're getting into. Because you got to understand something. Your wife and your children don't belong to you. They're property of the state. The state is the pimp. It's the pimp. He's pimping us all. you're going to end up being a trick. But like I said, if you go in there and you ammoed up and you understand everything that's on the line, you know the laws, you know this, you want to sit in court, you see some guys get their ass towed up, you didn't see the judge, everybody in there happy. Everybody in there happy making money. Only people in there that ain't looking too good is going to be the guys. So now you know this. If you talk, now go in and you fully aware and you still make that leap, it's it's all on you. But I know you got to say something to him. You at least got to say something to him to like guide him down that way, right? You're not going to stay in the gray area. You're going to give it to him straight, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, but here's the thing.
I agree. You should give it to the young person straight. You have to give it to the young person straight. But maybe there's some additional things. So even if a young man says, no, I really want to do this, maybe going to, seeking the advice of an attorney will help him to minimize some of the damage that could be done during a divorce. Like if somebody were to talk to me before, there were some things that I could have done, even though I came out pretty good. I mean, I didn't, you know what I mean? I came out with a very favorable, ruling on the divorce.
Excuse me, was it a fight or was it amicable?
Oh no, it was contentious for sure. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that. Go ahead, Joe.
Here's the thing. I wanted Kendrick's or even the other callers' opinion on this too. Is that society is dichotomized about this. Society says that in order to have a healthy family relationship, in order to have a healthy environment in which to bring up the kids, you should be married. But then at the same time, when they say that you should be married, then they penalize the man for getting married. Now, here's what I believe. I don't believe that the state should be involved in this at all, and I don't believe that religion should be involved in this at all. I believe that a man and a woman should make their own arrangements, and as the other caller was saying, even get your own legal representation, even in that type of environment, so that both of them will agree, so that in case there is a split, that they can do this without having to go to the state. Because I do not like somebody saying to me, I have to either go to the justice of the peace or to go to a pastor in order to get married. So that's what I wanted to say.
I agree with the whole keeping the state out of your relationships as much as possible.
Okay, hey, once that kid is born, once those papers are filed, the state got jurisdiction.
You're absolutely right. That's one of the reasons I don't want the state involved.
That's what I'm trying to say. You're talking about you can get the paperwork done, you can do this, you don't have to go this. Once that kid is born and that social security number is there, anything go down, that kid is the ward of the state. You have a kid out of wedlock. I mean, if you got a lawyer, you can go get, establish a paternity after having a DNA test, which that should be mandatory, but that's a whole other subject. But all of those things play a factor. So you had to go first. Now you had to get out of wedlock now. So legally, biologically, the kid is yours, but legally, it's not. Not until you get it on the paperwork.
It depends on the age of the child, though. It depends
the age
on
of the child.
Yeah. Let me explain it to you. When my son was 13, when this all went down, he was like, "Oh, I'm staying over here." He didn't care what the judge said. I'm like,
well, I understand with that.
I don't care what the judge says.
Hey.
And he said, I don't care what the police say. Unless they want to come over here and grab me out, this is where I am, and this is where
I understand, but okay, listen. You pass what we okay. That's when they're a teenager. Okay, we understand when kids are 13, they can say where they want to go. But in the early years, when that kid is born, because you want to jump like 13 years ahead of the fact that the condition that you had this kid in, that y'all was together, okay, or y'all was married, or not on paper, not on a legal document, but You know, y'all jumped the broom, y'all had a kid, or you went to a lawyer or a legal aid, had some paperwork drawn up, whatever and shit. The court gonna look at the court not gonna even honor it. She gets pissed off and she wants to take that shit to court. They're gonna throw that shit out there and get in bed with her because they make money off of this shit. The state is the pimp. The state is the pimp. Why do you think they override these prenuptials and shit? Huh? They know that's shit.
Reg, the reason a lot of these
a
lot of the prenuptials get overridden because they were written as like 1-page documents. These prenuptials that are like 8, 9, 10 pages, they stand up a whole hell of a lot better. And maybe you even maybe I had talks with lawyers about this. So they were, because I asked them, I said, why are so many prenuptial agreements getting thrown out? And they're like, they're 1-page documents. Like, you need to have a thorough prenuptial agreement. But let's just go back to what Patrick said, something important. He said you get a marriage certificate and on the front it tells you you're married. On the back, it doesn't tell you what the arrangements are, right? And what's going to happen. So if men start to look at marriage not as this, what SW was saying, like this fairy tale, marriage is a legal binding contract. And technically, when you get married, that is a prenuptial agreement. So when your girlfriend is saying we need to be married, she's actually asking you to sign a prenuptial agreement that is sanctioned by the government. And, you know, that's what Reg is pushing at. It's like the government, you know, kids become a ward of the state. This whole agreement is sanctioned by the government. The smart thing to do, and I'm going to support what Patrick is saying. Smart thing to do, this guy is 27. He makes $75,000 a year, and he's moving up. Like, he's going to do well. This guy will eventually have a healthy 6-figure income, and he wants to leave a legacy for his kids, right? So he's got his own business, and he wants to bring his kids up to inherit his business. He wants to have kids badly. He wants that experience. You could tell him to just live, to get a surrogate mother, right? You pay about 50 grand. You go through a company. The woman gets artificially inseminated. She has your baby, and she walks. She has nothing to do with it. You still have children that need care, though, because you're working. So what are the arrangements, right?
Right. Like that may be for some people. That wasn't for me. I wanted my children breastfed. I want my children, you know what I mean? Like, I'm very specific about what I wanted. Right. And so that is an option, but it's not an option for. Well,
no, Patrick, that's what I'm getting at. You still need someone to support you in raising them if you're going to work, right? Yeah. And you're making money, right? You're busy. You have meetings. You could be traveling. So, absolutely. You know what? So who do you get? Like, so maybe the first step before you even get your son sitting down with an attorney, you need to help him understand how to choose wisely and what compatibility means for him. I mean, that's the first step. Then it's, hey, if you don't want a wife, well, here are your options. You can do a surrogate mother, right? But you're still going to need someone to help raise and care for the child when you're not there. So you're going to hire a nanny, or some people call au pair if it's more expensive. Or you just have her living with you, right? And then that gets us to the other top. And I'm just going to say this because you guys are having a great conversation, but I want to just throw palimony in there. So what is palimony? And in most, it's definitely something that comes out of a common law marriage, but most states in the U.S. don't recognize common law marriages. Only 10 recognize it. But what is palimony? Many states across the country recognize common law marriage. When you live with someone long enough, you gain the rights of legally married couples. When married couples get divorced, they are entitled to certain property rights. California is not one of those states. So if you're not married, you don't get property rights. In order to enjoy the benefits of marriage, you must actually get married. However, there is one benefit that the state may extend to long-term partners. If you and your partner are together for long enough, you may be entitled to financial support after the breakup. So if you guys know who the old actor Lee Marvin was, he was married to not married, he was living with in California a woman by the name of Michelle Triola. And
I remember the story.
And when they broke up, she sued him. And there was no such thing as palimony before that. She actually lost and never got it, but California reviewed it and said, well, we need to put some laws in place for people who are long-term partners, because she made the claim that she gave up her career and he promised to take care of her for the rest of her life. And he said, no, I never made that promise. So she lost. But now there's something called palimony. So if you don't live together, but you have to live, depending on a state, a certain amount of time. So, you know, if it's 20 years and you're acknowledged as, you know, being together, living, you know, cohabitating, they'll give it to you. But then there are other cases they talked about where maybe you were still married to someone else, so your second marriage never counted, but you thought you were, and now, you know, you've been together 10 years, you could still get it. So there are all these situations where if you're not legally married, you're cohabitating, or under the belief you were married, you can still get palimony, which is they call it.
Hey, Ted.
Yes.
Did you hear about the case? I think that had arisen about 6, 7, 8 or 9 months ago. It may have been in Canada, but I don't quite remember. Where there was a couple. Both of them were making good money. They were not living together. They had separate residences, and they would go over and sleep at each other's houses every once in a while. But they did not live together, and they were not married. But then they broke up, and the guy had to pay some sort of palimony.
I'm putting it up on the screen.
I think this was in Canada.
Yeah,
Canada.
Joe, I just put it up on the screen. Oh, you're right. You're on Blog Talk.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah. So the
Right.
I'm gonna read article. It's Toronto. So this happened in Canada. Patrick probably is very familiar. A wealthy businessman will have to pay more than $50,000 a month in spousal support for 10 years to a woman with whom he had long-term romantic relationship, even though they kept separate homes and had no children together. And actually, Joe, he asked her to stop working. She wasn't working. She was working when he met her, and he said, give it up. And he made the mistake of taking care of her, providing her with a lifestyle. That's where he made the wrong turn.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah.
He's paying like $53,000 a month for 10 years. Can you imagine that?
The sucker played himself. Hey, do you feel sorry for him? Wait a minute. Do y'all feel sorry for him?
No, he.
Yeah, I do, and I'll tell you why.
That's the whole point.
I do, because that's the thing is that is a very brand new type of wrinkle in the law. They were not living together. That's not common law. So that's why I feel so. How the hell does this guy know ahead of time that he's going to be screwed for $53,000 a month?
And I'm pretty sure he proposed to her. She said no. But see here, Joe, here's where he made the wrong turn. He suggested that she quit her job, and he provided a lifestyle. He supported her, even though they didn't live together.
Yeah, that is wrong.
And she had 2 children. He provided financial support for her and her children. So they were not living together.
I think that's a wrong thing.
Yeah, he took care of her household. So
I think it's a wrong thing to do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure, I think it's a wrong thing to suggest. But what they may not also be putting in the story is that he and she may have made an agreement over how much of a lifestyle he should be providing for her. In other words, how many times he should take her out, how many times he should go on vacation, how much he should pay for boating trips, etc. maybe he paid for everything during the time that they were together so that to compensate for her giving up her job. But now the law steps in and says, well, okay, you suggested that she give up her job. She doesn't want to stay with you anymore. You're going to still continue to pay her, even though you might have had an arrangement with her about how much you should have paid during the relationship. I'd like to read more on that in the story,
Right.
you know. But I do feel sorry for the guy.
Well, he proposed to her more than once, and she kept saying no. So
well, like you were saying, she knew, and I guess maybe she went to a lawyer. She knew she had an automatic prenuptial agreement.
Right, and he never had any input into it. So, hey guys, let me bring one more person into this conversation. I'm gonna bring in area code 678. 678. You're live and on the air with Straight Talk. What's your name and where you calling from?
That's Atlanta.
Good evening, player. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on? This must be Samuel.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but basically, brought up what I was just been saying for years. When these dudes go out here, they get hyped up off these videos and YouTubes and etc. They don't understand when they sit here and say, "Oh, my baby ain't got to work," and etc. That means she's totally dependent upon you for survival. So when she has some kids and etc., and she decides to go ahead and dip for the dude at Chick-fil-A, you are responsible for her. She's gonna get you a house because she was dependent upon you for her livelihood. She's gonna get that money. She's gonna get the children, even though you have the money. She's still gonna get the children. So she's getting your home, your money, your children, alimony, and child support. But somehow you're still supposed to be able to find a way to take care of yourself. Dudes don't get it. They don't understand the game is no joke. It's not like Parker Brothers. You can't just put it in the box and put it in the closet. This is real life. These dudes don't understand reality. They think it's a joke. They don't understand.
I think I started off when I came on about what this guy is saying. If you don't know this shit by now, you don't get yourself get caught up in your ego and all this. You deserve to get your ass. I mean, I'm not going. I mean, the information is out. The bitch just shows you what time it is. Okay. I mean, you already know the nature of it. You already know the nature. It's parasites. Why you want to put yourself in that situation? I know your biological drive is to have children, and you want to have this fantasy of bringing up your kids. It is, the best way. But obviously, she don't feel that way because she's willing to break up the family. So what can you do? What you want to do? You want to play yourself?
Men are known for doing the right thing. Like you say, for creativity and creating structure and whatever. Women are only known for one thing. It's not nurturing. Regardless of what people may say, it's not nurturing.
Hey, you're 100% right there, bro.
Women are only known for having children, basically, in my opinion. So it's like men just don't get it. Women are not your friends. They don't care for you. By nature, they don't love you because it's just not in their being. And
can I get it. Can I elaborate on the children, man? They really don't love the children unless the children, they loving the children, right? Or they trying to isolate the children. They want the children. They loving the children because they want the children to just love them. They're not loving the children because, I had this kid and, unconditionally. They got son husbands, they got their daughters who still live with them, whatever, because they're loving to get the love back. You see what I'm saying? It's not like the biological where I gave birth and I brought this kid into the world. I mean, they'll tell the kid that I don't mean to interrupt you, Samuel, but they'll tell the kid, you owe me. Again, you owe me for giving birth to you. Really? I didn't ask for you to be my mother. I didn't ask to be here.
The women gonna do
black women don't know
everything.
Well, listen, yeah, I understand that, but listen, I have to say this. I ask Asian guys, white guys, we go Easter guns, whatever. The only mother that ever tell their kids that shit is a black woman. Other rest women don't tell their kids that shit. But go ahead, bro.
Well, I don't really know about other races of women as far as what they're told in their household, but I know what I see because when I'm out and about at work or wherever, I see all races of women because for some particular reason, dudes like to say Asian women and foreign women. Every woman I see is doing the same damn thing. It's like I'll be out and about and I see bras of any race flirting, even though they married, trying to get attention, even though they have their children with them, dressed in a certain way, and they man see them leaving the house, they pants pulled up in their butt, makeup and perfume, and their hair done. What you doing all that shit for? And dudes thinking that's my woman. No, she's not your woman. She's showing you that she still needs the attention from other men. But men just don't understand.
Yeah, hey, listen, I understand all bitches saying. All I said was that the only race of woman that I've ever heard, I've asked other, did their mother ever say that type of shit to them? They didn't say, they don't get down like that. The only mothers who tell their kids that you owe me by giving birth to you is black women.
Oh, I'm not saying whether you're wrong or right. I just can't comment on that because I've really only dealt with a majority of black women. I've never really been in other households. So that's why I can't make a statement on that. But I get what you're saying.
Okay, but well, I have. That's why I'm telling you this. In the history of whatever, the only race of women that tell their fucking kids that are black women.
Okay. All right. Got it.
All right. Go ahead. They all the same though. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. I get what you're saying. I just can't really make a judgment because just from my standpoint. But I'm just thinking I think men really believe in love more than women do. I think men actually believe that in the white picket fence and she's gonna have a yellow dress and he's gonna come home to the cookies. Men just don't understand that. This is my opinion. It may sound whatever they want to title it as, but I just think men believe in fairy tales and the stuff that I'm not gonna say it's been inbred in them. It's just I don't know if it's nature or what, because we just want to do the right thing. But I think men pretty much are victim to their own nature because we actually want to do for others, especially our own. We're not looking at ourselves.
Yeah, but your nature is being exploited. Exactly. You have to understand, and as I had told Ted before, no species can ever really be happy fighting their biological makeup. Okay? No species. So a man's biological, if you're a builder and you stop building, but it's in you, there's a conflict. There's a battle going on. You're not going to be happy because you're not feeling it's in you and you're suppressing it, but you might be suppressing it for your own survival. Exactly. So now you see. So you see what's going on. You're being pulled. You're being pulled. But the number one law of life is preservation.
I was saying that yesterday.
Self-preservation.
I was saying that yesterday.
So
I agree. Both of you are right. Samuel and Red are both right on all counts. I think men do get caught up in the romance, the fairy tale of believing that we should have a family. And Red is right about the fact that a lot of women don't, and Sam, you said this specifically, and Red is right too about, hey, women do not have this natural nurturing instinct that they like to brag about to the extent that they brag about it. Because a lot of times they will want children, not so they can love the kids all for themselves, but because they want the kids to love them back.
Thank you. That's what I just said. But hey, homie, Montana, Joe. Okay. Well, check this out. I know. I'm not disputing that. Listen. Just this weekend, a woman went and poisoned her 2 infant twin children in New York. Ted might have heard about. She was putting Ajax or something in a damn formula trying to kill them. They wouldn't die. Then she went to stab one. I mean, these kids is like about a month or 2 old, and she was like, well, they wouldn't let me. As a matter of fact, check it out. She don't even know who the father is.
So
Who's the father? I don't know.
Hey, Ted, yeah,
There are.
go ahead. Ted,
So my point is,
I don't remember my. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry.
no, my point is, they're not.
let Joe
They're
finish.
not nurturers.
Let Joe finish.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Joe.
Hey, Ted,
Ted had a show a couple of weeks ago talking about.
I forget where I got the
70%.
resource from.
Hold on,
I'm sorry, go
Samuel.
ahead.
Let Joe finish.
Yeah, I was just saying that Ted had a show a couple of weeks ago with regards to the figure of 70% of domestic violence is caused by women, and that's admitted. And I knew it was 40%.
I thought it
And that
was
was even admitted. 70%. So yeah, we have to stop looking at women as being the angels and just look at them as human beings. And we have to put ourselves up on the pedestal. And it's, you know, you got me thinking about it. I wish I knew a lawyer so that he can come on the show and talk about how middle-class men, definitely not rich men, can talk about how to prepare themselves for marriage and for living together so that they don't get caught up in the alimony, palimony quicksand.
How about just don't do it? How about just don't do it?
Well, let me give you guys a fact. Hold on. The fluent class has like a single-digit divorce rate. So for the majority of the United States, marriage rates have dropped. They're at all-time lows. They first started recording that in 1865, and it's the lowest right now, and it's the lowest it's ever been since they started recording it. The deal is, the affluent class, the marriage rates have not dropped. They are stable, and the divorce rates are exceptionally low. And there are too many case studies of the guy who had no money, lost it, and came back, and the wife never left. Even when they both had to sleep out of the car or move back to his mother's house. So this is, and the research shows that the reason those marriages last is because they understand compatibility. That's what I was saying to you guys. Before you take your son to the lawyer, you need to make sure he's educated on how to choose the right woman. Because I'm giving you guys, so if you don't want to get married and you don't want to have a living girlfriend, great. So except you want to have children, so you go to a surrogate, right? And someone still has to care for the kids. So you get a nanny. Someone's going to have to care for them while you work. So if you have a living girlfriend or you have a wife, you got to make sure you choose a woman who's right for the kind of environment you want to live in and raise children in. And that's the number one priority, to teach your child.
Yeah, Ted, I think that's a key point. But I think that kind of learning should be done probably in high school. I think, you know, just learning the psychology of other human beings and learning how to identify, you know, narcissistic behavior, you know, selfishness, this, that, and the other, and helping young people to determine what the kind of mate that they may have a successful relationship with is key, because we were never taught that in any formal way.
Hey Patrick, but here the problem is, you've got to really understand yourself to know who's compatible with you. Even if you can identify a narcissist, hell, you might be a narcissist yourself, and that may be compatible with you. But you need to first understand yourself to know who's right for you. And so if you're not right for the kind of family you want to raise, then you might have to do some work on yourself when you're, 25 and doing well.
But I think that's why it's important, because the more you understand about yourself. Right. Right. Like the more you understand about yourself. And so, like I said, for us, it's one thing for us. We're older, right. But for the young people, that's what I was going to say. We're old. Those younger people need to start learning that, and at an earlier age, so that they can start making wiser decisions when it comes to coupling. And one more thing.
That's what I'm working on now.
Wait, let Patrick finish. And hey, Wendy, how are you? Go ahead, Patrick.
And one more thing. It would also help you know, education also helps with how you deal with even casual relationships. You guys are aware of the studies that were done. They were looking for, I think it was the University of Seattle was looking for, like they were researching a certain disease. And what they found out while they were researching was that the DNA of men, if you have unprotected sex with a woman,
Right.
if you ejaculate inside of her, your DNA stays with her
Right.
for a lifetime.
Right.
So, so what they also found, I think it was another study by another university that says that the more partners, I think it was men and women, but I know women were in there. The more partners they have, the more trouble they were having creating a lasting emotional bond with one man.
So, Patrick,
and I found that very interesting.
So
yeah.
Absolutely.
In one study, I
Well,
saw.
Patrick.
Hold on, Reg. Hold on, Reg.
I know, but you had a show on this already.
Right. And I'm just gonna tell him,
Okay,
Patrick.
never mind. We can move past.
Just quick, Patrick.
I just want to mention.
So when a woman gets to the 6 different guys she's had sex with, she's 3 times less likely to be in an emotionally stable relationship. And the more that number goes over 6, the less likely she's going to be emotionally stable.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm good with that because I ain't trying to own none of these hoes and they match for bottom. I'm just there to play. I look at them, I'm not trying to take them serious. I mean, maybe some of you guys who, trying to build a family, and I mean, y'all would like to try to save the community or build something. But I mean, at this point in time, I mean, I don't even think the juice is worth the squeeze. I mean, it just, somebody done fucked it up there.
Reg,
Look at it this way though.
Reg,
You can't say no Harley brother. She already done deal.
Well, hold on.
What's that, country boy?
There's another.
I'm saying she dead in the water, bro. I'm like your best on, just live.
But see, this is
I mean,
sorry, Ted, go ahead.
somebody. Hey Ted, I mean, I would like for things, be all rosy and the fairy tale, but it's not. So I mean, you want to sit up there and have you want to live in you want to live in reality, or you want to live the dream. The dream gonna turn into a nightmare. 95% chance that dream is gonna turn into a nightmare on your ass.
But see, the thing is, we came to these conclusions because we're of age and we've lived.
Right.
The problem is the younger generation.
Exactly.
They're in school. Like I say, they're not even studying in school, so they can't be prepared for anything of this nature. So the dudes out here having sex with the girls, getting them pregnant, getting STDs and whatever. The thing is, baby mamas and baby daddies have become the new norm. It's not even new no more. It's pretty much it's a standard now. So the children don't understand. When I say children, I mean they're not children, they're adults, but you know what I'm saying, because we've been through. But they have to go through before they learn. That's where the problem's going to come, because it's going to keep reoccurring, because if they don't go through, they're not going to learn. So it's even if,
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
Well,
they don't have to go through it to learn. There were a lot of mistakes that were done by people when I was young, that people were older than me, people I hung out with. I didn't have to go through anything to know not to do what they were doing and end up in prison.
Look at statistics of baby mamas. We look at statistics of baby mamas and unwed and et cetera in the Black community.
Yeah,
they're not learning. They don't get it. It's like it's going to get worse. So they're not learning.
But here's what I'm saying. They don't have to if they're educated properly. It's not a fait accompli.
Education. It's not a fait education. I look at education like this. I can meet a woman who has a master's degree in whatever, but she can't make an omelet. So education got nothing to do with reality.
No. He's not. Hold on, Samuel. He's not saying that.
There's education by experience and there's education by
But that's what I'm saying. But
Samuel, hold on.
you have to do it.
No, Samuel.
I instructed
Hold
my
on, hold
son.
on,
This is an
Patrick.
education.
Patrick, 1 second. Samuel, when he says education, it's more about what I was saying. If you're not educated to understand compatibility, which means you have to understand yourself first, that's an education. No, Samuel, hold on.
But in order to be educated,
Samuel,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
hold on. That's an education that we're not giving to young people. And so when they make these mistakes, what did you expect? You never educated them about how to choose and even how to be in a relationship.
But see,
wait, let me just say this one of the most important things that people need to understand is conflict resolution, because you're going to have misunderstandings, and it doesn't mean you have to have a conflict.
There you go.
So when people have misunderstandings, they jump off to the next person, and for a girl, that's a mistake, because she didn't know how to resolve a conflict. She just went to another guy. Next thing, she's at 7 guys, and she's now becoming emotionally unstable. So we're not educating girls about their bodies and understanding that you can't do, even though the feminists told you can do whatever boys can do, you really can't, and there are consequences. Because the research shows that guys don't have the same emotional instability. And in a second, I'll talk to you guys about the actual biochemistry of why you see a lot of this madness. But go ahead, Samuel.
I get what you're saying, but when you say education, that's something that's taught, not learned. They have to actually do it and go through it to actually obtain and learn from experience to get educated.
Nope.
Real life education is experience.
Nope.
So you can't tell them anything until they've actually experienced it, to actually see what it is that you're referring to.
You don't need to experience it to make a decision. I know how crack is. I don't have to take crack in order for me to know not to take it.
But let me say this right quick. I can sit here and read all kind of books on living in the woods and Davy Crockett, whatever. But put me in the woods, them books ain't gonna do me no damn good. Because it's a whole different, it's real life now. I'm not in my living room reading a book or watching a YouTube video on how to make a fire with some twigs. When it's real life, it's a whole different story.
Okay, so
Samuel,
wait. I have a question. I have a question for Samuel. Hold on. 1 second.
Can I say that?
Joe, just have a quick question. Why do you think the affluent class has a very exceptionally low single parent rate and divorce rate? Why do you think that's happening?
Well, that's kind of surprising to me, but I would imagine it's because if they're smart enough in order to accumulate wealth, they're smart enough to have a prenup agreement, and they're smart enough to marry women who supposedly they would talk to about having kids prior to marriage.
That's education.
And they would have lawyers in order to enforce what they want.
No, but their divorce rate is just lower, Joe. Like most of them don't.
But
even
like
head.
I say, it's
they don't even head to divorce.
I can answer that question for you. It's environment and culture.
But that's
certain
education.
Individuals who are raised in certain environments are going to do certain things because of their surroundings.
And your environment.
Where others who are not in that same environment and culture are going to do different things.
But do you understand, if you don't educate your people, you're going to have an environment that's uneducated.
But we're going back to education. Education is not life experience versus education are two totally different things.
Sam, let me see if I can clear this up. If you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Education can come both ways. You can be taught it and not learn, or you can experience it and not learn, or you can be taught and learn and experience and learn. There are a lot of people who get their heads knocked around and still don't learn, and still repeat the same mistakes. And there are people who can be talked to by very loving parents and not learn. Education.
I get what you're saying. That's pretty much common sense. Yeah, that's common sense. But I'm gonna go back to this once again. You can watch all the videos in the world, or read all the books, be told all the stuff on how to, let's say, cook a rib. But when it comes time to cook that rib, you go to that barbecue pit. That's real life. It's like it's really happening. So chances are they're gonna burn the meat the first time, the second time, and the third time before they finally get the hang of it. That's what I mean. They have to go through. They have to experiment. They have to make the mistakes in order to learn from their mistakes.
So why
No one's going to come out and just not make mistakes.
why aren't other
Listen,
classes going through that? Why aren't the other classes, the higher classes,
Because
going through
at the
that?
other side, apparently they have guidance, people there with them to guide them through it.
And that's
Majority of people don't have
education.
nobody to guide them through it.
That's
It's
education.
like this here. No one's, when a child leaves the house, it's okay, I'm 18 years old. I tell mom and dad or whoever I'm staying with, hey, I'm gone. I go out the house, they're not by my side. So I go out there, I see her shouting. Guess what I'm finna do with her? We finna do our thing. Now she's pregnant. You know why? Because mom and dad went right there in the bedroom or where we was at while we was doing our thing to guide me. When the person's on their own, they're gonna do things that are not so-called, that nothing to do with education. It's just gonna be the moment.
No,
It's
but
just gonna be self-experience.
guiding a child is education. That's what guiding a child is. It's education. It's educating.
Yeah,
But I mean,
that's what it is.
we going to what sounds, but we going to what sounds good versus reality.
No, and it's no. I disagree. I was told about family and not having children out of wedlock and all that.
Exactly.
There was no parents around me. I went through school. I had a really good bachelor life, but I knew one thing that was not going to happen was I was not going to have a child out of wedlock.
Exactly.
I knew that.
You know, I can respect that, and I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I mean, I fully understand everything you're saying. Trust me, but it's still the reason why in the Black community, over 80% out of wedlock, the divorce rate is extremely high, and the marriage rate is extremely low. So it depends once again upon the environment and upon the household.
I agree.
So it's not, that's why I say education, in my opinion, has nothing to do with it. It just depends on the culture and the environment.
But see,
I think you're mixing up education. I think when you think education, I think you're thinking about something formal like a classroom. When I think education,
what I mean, it's like
education can be parents raising their children. I educated my children from the baby up, just talking, just really and going over the information and documents. That's an education.
Yeah, that makes
what
sense.
you do to your children is an education.
No,
That's what it is.
Sense. I agree with you. I fully agree with you. I'll give you a perfect example. Say I'm out somewhere and I hold the door for someone. When I was younger, even now, you know, women always say, your mama taught you right. They don't know about me. Oh, my mama. My mama could have been a crackhead. Their mama could hate each other. I held the door because I felt it's the right thing to do. It got nothing to do with my mama. It's just something that I chose to do. It's like you can raise your children the best way you can. They can still be crackheads. But you can have children raised by crackheads who say, I don't want to be a crackhead. I want to be different. So it got really nothing to do with the parents tell the person, but they can show them the right way, the child will still do wrong. They can show them the right way, the child might decide he want to do right. So it's like up to the individual to look at who they are as an individual and decide where they want to go. Like you said, you decided you don't want to have children out of wedlock. That had nothing to do with your parents, in my opinion. That was the decision that you chose to make. Because your parents might have had 8 children out of wedlock.
all right.
But you decided you didn't want to be that way. But they might have had no children out of wedlock, and you decided you wanted to.
Someone left a great
individual.
Someone left a great comment here, and I want to read it because it supports what we're saying here. Today's women have been brainwashed to be man's adversary, but remember, this has been drilled in them by outside forces. This is not their natural programming. So what I'm getting at is women have been educated. See, that this is what we're missing. When you're born, you know nothing. So everything that's given to you through conversations, through parents, through media, through teachers, through books, that's your education, right? Without even going to school. So women have been educated that they can do what men do. And see, you're talking about a socioeconomic class that's been educated and no one offset that education that they received. So they just walked out the house believing they can do what men do. And they were told that if she gets pregnant, it's the man's fault. That's their education.
If she get pregnant, that's her fault. Because I ain't my fault.
Okay. Now let's take what you just said.
And that education, that education leaves an impact very early on a child's mind.
Exactly.
Let's look at the current
Do you
trend
know
going
that
on now. Let's look at what's going on now in reality. Let's just be realistic.
But Samuel,
I don't
that's
like to see what
what's
Sam
going
said. I like
on
to
now
speak
is
factually.
what's going
Let's
on
look at
now is a
realistic right
product.
now.
What's going
All
on now
these
is a
women are
product of
so-called all
education,
these women are
Samuel.
so-called educated.
Do you
But
understand?
what are they
No,
all leaning
Samuel.
towards? To social media,
These
OnlyFans,
no. This
pornography,
has nothing to
selling
do
their
with
bodies
social media.
online.
This is
They got
way
nothing to do with
before.
education.
This is way before
It's
social
what they feel
media.
is
Not about
beneficial to them. No,
Samuel,
what I'm
this is
saying, they doing what they feel is beneficial to them.
no, Samuel. The things that you're seeing women do is a product of their they were educated to do exactly what they are doing.
But this is what I'm saying. No, I'm not. I'm just making a statement. I'm not trying to debate because we all have a good point of view. But what I'm saying is like the individual makes the decision that they choose to make depending on what they feel is best for them. I'm sticking on OnlyFans because that's what's happening right now.
No,
you look everywhere, women online getting crazy money for selling their bodies, showing pictures, sucking their toes, playing with themselves for money. So it's like, that got nothing to do with education. It's got to do with what's best for them and their frame of mind right now. They don't really care about the repercussions later. They focus on what's going on right now.
It's not about any type of formal education. When you were born,
I agree with that.
When you hit,
let's take formal out of the equation.
So now,
but I'm saying people going for what they feel is best for them right now.
They
were educated
to do
that. They're going to do what they want to do for their own best self-interest.
That's what I'm
trying to say. Right.
That's what
the women get.
I'm making.
For example, yes, you're right. You're right. There was a survey. There was a survey done. I think Geraldo Rivera did this on one of his shows. They went into a school. I think it was about either second grade or third graders, and they asked the female students. They gave them a choice. Who do you think you'd like to marry when you grow up? They showed pictures of a plumber, a businessman, a lawyer, and some other people. Something like 90% of the girls said, I'm going to marry him. Why? He makes a lot of money. By the time they're 8, they're already educated into what they want out of life. So the education, the environment, regardless of whether it's formal, not formal, comes from the parents, comes from the other family members. It's part of all of us. We're all prophets when we're young.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing. We may have different views, but I still agree with everything that everyone is saying. But I'm just saying, as far as the individual, that's what it boils down to. It's like, for example, I get to meet any female, regardless of her background, upbringing, education, who, when with me, would not do whatever I wanted her to do. She could have a husband, big ass houses, golf course, land, all that stuff. But I know how to cater and bring out what's really inside of them, which overrules their whatever education may be. It goes to their nature, and they would do it. So everything else becomes obsolete and obscure because I'm talking to their nature now. So I can sit here and say, me and you gonna have sex. Or if I want to tell her and persuade her, she will have sex with me, and et cetera, and et cetera, and et cetera, at the same time. I'm talking about the individual is going to do what they want to do at that point in time, and they're not worried about the consequences. They worry about that later.
Right.
Just like, for example, I forget where I got this source from. You've heard it.
Hey, Sam, wait, hold on, Sam.
Fraud, right?
Sam, hold on, Sam.
But let me make this statement.
Sam, hold on, Sam, hold on.
Okay.
What you're talking about is a certain socioeconomic class, and they were educated to do exactly what you watch them do. There are socioeconomic classes who are educated to not do that. They're educated to do something else, and you have no access to those women at all.
I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with you, but see, I think you misunderstand where I'm coming from. I'm not disagreeing with nothing that you're saying. I'm just giving different roads along the same path.
But it's all
they go in different directions.
It's all
I agree with what you're saying, but we're speaking as a whole, and we can't speak as a whole because everyone is an individual. Now, you may say the small percentage of the elite or whatever, but I can only speak for the reality of what we see right now is destruction. Everything is being reversed. Everything is it's chaos. So that's all I can speak on is what
Sam,
in general is pretty happening right here as we see it.
Sam, se eu falo contigo em outro idioma, você não pode entender-me. Você pode entender-me, sim ou não? Okay, see, I just asked you in Portuguese if you could understand me. See, you were not educated
No, I thought
in
you was
that.
breaking up. I thought you was breaking up. That's what I thought was going on.
Right. See, I was speaking to you in Portuguese, and you and so how that appeared is that I was breaking up, right? Because you were not educated in that. You only have what they educated you with.
Yeah, I don't know another language. I can accept that, but I just thought you was breaking up.
No. But I'm only trying to help you understand is that it's education. You only have what they gave you.
Okay. Apparently, we just not gonna get on the same base for this because I understand what you're saying. I'm
talking about the human race.
I'm
talking about the human race.
I get what you're saying.
Everyone,
Sam.
Even in the jungle,
but I'm asking you to get what I'm
even in
saying.
the jungle, Sam.
I get what you're saying, but I'm asking you to get what I'm saying too. That's all I'm saying.
Sam, what you're saying is that regardless of the education, or even because of the education, people still go and act in their own self-interest. Nobody's going to disagree with you on that. The thing is that there are people who are educated who believe that what they think they're doing in their own self-interest is not in their own self-interest.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I mean, if it's logical, if it makes sense, it makes sense. So I fully agree. But I just want to make this statement here. I forget where I got this statistic from. I got it a few years back. You've heard of life insurance fraud, right? Of course. I can't really say where I got it from, but I know it was true at that time. I don't know about now. But you have wives who kill husbands for insurance money, men who kill their wives for insurance money, and children, etc. Which one do you think was the number one rated for insurance fraud? It wasn't wives killing husbands. It wasn't husbands killing wives. It was the mothers killing their children for insurance money, which goes back to what I was originally talking about as far as women not really caring about anything but themselves. So they would kill their own. That's actually number one years ago when I checked that number one insurance fraud is women killing their children for insurance money. That's why I say it's I don't understand just how ruthless these frauds are.
Hey Sam, before you came on the scene, Ted, if you remember, me and Chris told you, we both said that them hoes is not natural. That shit is fiction. They're not natural. They're not natural nurturers. Remember this was last year. Me and Chris both explained, and we showed all why they doing this. And all of this, and Samuel was just validating what we said over a year ago. Them hoes is not nurture. They're not.
So
they're self-serving creatures.
There's a.
Do you think that the same for women in Muslim countries, or do you think it's exactly the same, or is it different?
Well, they're being controlled. But they're being controlled by but and they have a code that's different over here. That's a strong patriarchal. They have a strong family culture. They get married. They got the religion, everything else is controlling all of that to make everything work over there.
You know what changes that though? I think in them countries it's punishable by death. Women have like a consequence over there that pretty much means you lose your life, from my understanding. So it's like or change in the person's behavior.
It's because they're educated that way. They're educated that way. See, that's what we were talking about, education.
I don't think that's education. I think a lot of other countries, if women do certain things, it's punishable by death.
Well, that's you educate your people to
that's
understand
an education,
consequences, man.
Okay.
That's education.
Yeah, you're right.
That's education.
You fucked up.
It's just like I think it's China. They say in China, if you cheating your taxes, that's a death penalty. Is that China
in India? It's the death penalty. I don't know about China, but that's definitely. I mean, there's the honor killings. If you betray, right, you're right.
So that has a huge effect on the outcome of what a person's actions are going to be. Well, in America, though, it's like in a lot of other countries, there's no repercussions. They benefit from doing wrong. They get pretty much gifted for doing wrong.
That's the best education possible. You get your head lopped off.
That's the problem.
Yeah, okay.
But this is being pushed out here, and it's being done. I mean, if you have an economy and the corporations are
drinking that coffee. The coffee down red.
Hey, Reg, go on mute. Is that you, Reg? I think you got.
Yeah, the corporations. it's better if there were no marriages and everybody was single for corporations. It's better for corporations because if a man and a woman is split, now there's two households, there's two sets of insurance, there's two, utilities that have to be paid. There's, everything is split. You make a lot more money. There's a lot more money to be made in a society from most corporations from single people as opposed to married, as opposed to having families. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Hey, Reg, you go on mute, dude. You sound like you're beating someone up, man. You in some MMA fight or what?
No, man, that's taking a week and I'm going to the toilet. I'm good now, man.
Go on mute. Go on mute, Reg. We don't want to hear you in the bathroom.
Because I had to piss.
We don't want to hear it.
Jesus, you put yourself. Can you put yourself on mute?
I forgot to, bro. On my phone. Keep going.
Okay.
Go on mute, dude. Hey, thanks. Hey, SW, big thank you for that, man. Big thank you. Yeah. Hey, so yeah, thank you for that. So I did some research and looking at biochemistry, and I wanted to see if there's a real difference between is there something behind what you guys are saying? Like women are not nurturers, they don't care. Guys really want to do the right thing and have affection and love. And most of what people call love is really just a biochemical secretion. It's dopamine, endorphins. Women have a lot of oxytocin that makes them want to bond. And men have some oxytocin, not as much, it takes longer to secrete. But men have this biochemical called vasopressin. And when vasopressin bonds with testosterone, with oxytocin, when it bonds, man, it's like putting nitrous in your car and it intensifies whatever it is. So when vasopressin bonds with testosterone, that's when you see a man as a beast. He goes crazy. When it bonds with oxytocin, this is the dilemma for men. Women they secrete a lot of oxytocin. They want to bond, but it without getting too technical, for women, it only goes into certain parts of the brain and is limited there, and anything can like turn it off, or if she's got an imbalanced diet or certain things happen, it can malfunction the secretion of oxytocin, and she ends up not bonding. So when she has a baby, she also secretes a lot of oxytocin. It's like you guys are saying, it's not that a woman naturally bonds. If you inhibit her flow of oxytocin, she has no bonding with that baby. She won't give a damn about it. But if she eats the wrong foods, she's in an environment that inhibits the flow of oxytocin, she's not going to bond with the child, right? And she could kill it, abandon it, anything. A man.
Well, let me ask you this, Ted.
What's that?
Okay, what would you suggest from your personal knowledge?
Let me finish what I'm going to say.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So when a man, it takes longer for us to secrete oxytocin, which makes us bond, right? We will secrete it during sex, but it just takes longer. We don't secrete as much, and testosterone blocks the flow of it. But once we start secreting it binds with vasopressin. It doesn't do the same for our body that it does for a woman. A woman goes into only certain parts of the brain. For us, it goes throughout the whole body, and we're hooked on that, man. And we call it love, but really it's just a biochemical secretion. But it gets more intense for us once it starts to happen, and it's easier for dudes to get hooked. So what I'm suggesting, Sam, is that you understand what's happening with your body and enjoy it, but understand it has nothing to do with love. It's just it's like coming. It feels good, but that doesn't mean you're in love with the woman. It feels good. It's a biochemical, it's a bodily function, and it's natural. But it has the whole idea of love. Men need to understand a distinction between biochemical secretions that feel good, and actually a true, authentic love partner.
Yeah, you can bust it up from having sex with a cherry pie. But let me get your opinion on something. I got my TV muted. Okay. What do you suggest for younger men who don't want to have bastard children, but still not put themselves in a position that can destroy them financially and mentally? As far as doing things the right way, they want to get married, they want to have a wife, they want to have the children, they want to have the household and the foundation. But with in America, with the laws and all this stuff going on, what suggestions? I know you're not a lawyer, but it's like the men who want to do stuff the right way and get married first, then have a child.
Right.
Hopefully they got their stuff together by then, because they don't. The woman gonna want all his attention, and he gonna be able to fulfill his dreams. I'm gonna cut myself off. I was telling the dude the other day, I don't suggest young men get married young, because if you get married young before you get a chance to obtain some of your goals to get on the track, chances are your wife or girlfriend or whatever is going to stop you from achieving it, because she's going to want attention, she's going to get jealous, she's going to kind of be like destruction or an obstacle that's going to stop you from attaining your goals in life financially and in a other way, because for some particular reason, when a man gets in a relationship at a younger age, he gets sidetracked from his objective, because now he has a woman and she's going to want a lot of his time, and that's kind of going to deviate him and pretty much mess his life up, because now he's going to have to do this and do that. He's not focused on his goals in life. And at the same time, he still wants to attain this goal, but now he got a woman, now he wants to get married, now he wants to have children. I try to tell the young man, you can't do all of that. Get yourself together first. Get your money right, get your objectives right. Because if you don't do it before you get in a relationship, it's probably not going to happen, because she's not going to let it happen. She's going to be a huge distraction, purposely. So it's like, what do you suggest to young men who want to do the right thing, who haven't achieved their goals financially yet and career-wise, but want to start a family?
Well, that's what we were talking about, Patrick and I. And that's why Patrick used the word education. So if you understand what I just said, if you can help a young man understand, look, you're gonna feel good with a woman. And there are lots of reasons that you can feel good with a woman, right? So it's amazing how this whole oxytocin and dopamine secretions happen. It's like someone may have a cadence the way your mother did, right? Or your grandmother, someone you have an affinity for. They remind you of someone, but you don't know it. But these are all things that are happening, and they have your brain firing off these feel-good chemicals, and you think it's love, and it's not. So
when you say feel-good, you talking about sex or just the relationship itself?
No, I'm not even talking about sex.
Sam.
Who's that?
Hey, Sam.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think one of the things that I think I know what you're asking, because I was I was thinking the same thing. What do you tell these young men? And I think one of the things you can do, I mean, if the young man is dead set on doing this, like you said, I think one of the things you can do is have them talk to some legal counsel and understand what it is that they can lose, right? So that they can better prepare for it. So when a wealthy guy gets with a woman, he makes a determination. He already knows. He's just like, okay, I get with her. She gives me a couple of children. Let's say it lasts so many years, and I got to pay such and such. Is it worth it? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'll do it. I already know I got to give up some money in the end, right? They make a determination. They're very rational on how they see these things. And I think the best thing to do for young men is to have them look at this rationally from a legal standpoint and from a financial standpoint. Maybe he'll still do it, but maybe he'll start putting some money away in some other way to kind of hide it. Maybe there's certain things that he can do to mitigate the damage. Right. Maybe there's some things he can do to mitigate the damage that can be done. right? And I think that's the thing to do. Legal, financial, learn what could happen if this doesn't work out, and with the children and all that. Legal bills and all that kind of stuff. And then start to prepare something over time, or even before you get married, start to prepare some things to minimize the damage. And that's probably the best you can do if he's dead set on trying to get married. Try to find ways to minimize the damage.
But what's your take on that? I tell a lot of young men, don't even think about relationships when you're young. Think about where you want to be when you're 30 and 35. Get your career, get your money right before you try to start a family. Because once you get in a relationship, you pretty much, she's gonna make it hard as hell for her man to go out here and do his job, because she's gonna be showing up, stressing him, accusing him, wanting his time, driving him crazy when he can't focus. So it's like I tell men, I'm saying you want children, you want to do what you think is right. But if you do it too early, you're not going to achieve your goal, because these women are going to stop it. And once she gets pregnant, your goals are around.
Well, I think it's not just women. It's all the time that it's going to take for you to dedicate to getting where you want to go and getting done, and then having a family. Let's say if she doesn't sabotage, let's say even if she is a helpmate for him, it's still going to be more difficult sometimes, just because you have a family, you got to work 60 hours a week, and you're just, you're never there, you're not there. It's just a stressful situation.
Exactly.
So yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
it's better if they just focus on their purpose. The purpose is like this. If they're a person of faith or something, if their faith first, their purpose second, and a woman third. Or you can put purpose first and faith, however you want to do it. The woman comes third, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that you don't like her or you don't love her or anything. That just means you're on your grind. And guess what? Women are more attracted and drawn to guys who are fixed on their purpose anyway. So, you know what I mean? All these simps out here, they're not really checking for them. They like the attention, but that's not who they really want. And, so it's better if you focus on your purpose first anyway. It's better for everybody, and it's better all around if you do that first. So I agree.
That's why I tell the younger men, don't even worry about women right now. Get yourself together. Because if you don't get yourself together, it's going to be hard to get it together once you get in a relationship and have children on top of that. I've known numerous men who had goals, they got a woman pregnant, got a relationship, and their goals pretty much disappeared. Because now they had to get a real job and do this and that to take care of responsibilities, and they couldn't afford to try to chase their dream because they had to worry about the here and now. And they end up just never achieving their goals.
The biggest problem, a lot of guys
here's my advice.
Listen, a lot of guys end up in relationships because they think, because they feel good, this woman is right. This is what I was getting at. Like, see, I give you an example of a guy. He was the chairman. This guy was the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange. And when I met his wife, one of the first things his wife made clear is that when he was in college, she was an asset to him. This guy was in his early 70s and still married to the same woman. A woman who's an asset, but you've got to know who's compatible for you. There are a lot of wealthy men who find women in college and they were not wealthy, or they may have come from money, but they didn't marry some woman who was a gold digger. They married some woman who was an asset to them. If you guys know who Grant Cardone is, he's a billionaire.
But
someone asked him.
About now with social media and OnlyFans and Facebook and Instagram.
This is the deal. If you're choosing a wife based on that, there's some not nice words for you. All right, so you deserve what you get, and that's what I'm trying to say. A good feeling has nothing to do with the choice of a spouse. And if you want this woman to be educating and preparing your children for life, and you chose a woman because of OnlyFans, you get what you deserve. You should get worse than that dude in Canada. So
you misunderstood me there. You misunderstood what I'm saying. Women today I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, so look, if you're gonna, that's another thing. You need to be able to choose women. You need to be able to look at socioeconomic class, right? So you need to look at, does she come out of a single parent home?
Misunderstand me.
You need to, as a man, as a man, you need to be able. No, I'm saying one thing. As a man, you need to be able to assess a woman who's right for you. And if you want a woman from OnlyFans, then you're gonna get what you get.
No. See, you misunderstand me. We need to get on the same page. You misunderstand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, men meet women today. These women got social media. They got Instagram. Whether he knows about it or not, it's a whole different world. So a man meets a woman because he wants to start to get his family together. He wants to try to get what he thinks is a good person until he gets to find out either or. But majority of even children that they got YouTube, Instagrams, whatever. So a dude goes out, they say he's 24. He meets a woman, courts or whatever, they talk, they getting together. Okay. She's on social media. He's at work. She got all these dudes DMing her. She got the whatever these women doing nowadays. And you know, it's just the mindset of women these days are just ridiculous. Whereas the man tries to do the right thing, she's not waiting for that. She's got the patience.
Do you know how to determine?
Sam, I don't think Ted's not disagreeing with you. You're saying, look, men, go out there, get your purpose, go out, attain your goals. Don't worry about a relationship. Ted is saying that men should not take a relationship simply because they feel good, but because that woman is a potential asset economically. So unless that woman is a potential asset in terms of having liquid assets, in other words, the same kind of money that he's making.
Well, no, not necessarily, Joe.
She's not an asset. She's not going to be a partner.
Not necessarily.
Well, even with that,
she may have.
But
she
even
may
with that,
have.
let's look at this. What you just said.
Joe, she actually may have a network. She may actually be able to open doors for you, right? And so the guy grants someone.
This is what I'm saying, though. I'm not trying to cut you off, but I'm just giving my point of view. I deal in what my real world is. Even now, we've all worked and had a job. But a lot of women today, when they go to work, they spend more time at work than they do at home. They spend more time at work around other men than they do with their man. And their man is usually at work when in other words, that's why these work hustlers, all I'm saying is the game's all messed up. These women working and bringing in whatever, chances are they having sex with someone at work. So it's like, these dudes need a woman, he doing his thing because he got to get himself together. He's in a relationship with her, but she's going to work. She's attracted to somebody at work because she spend more time there and see more men there than she do with him. And he's off doing his thing, trying to provide and get himself together for the girl, for his woman, his family. But she's on social media. She sees dude at work. He's the player. She wants him.
Hey, Sam, we got that.
We tell him what she wants to hear. Well, I guess what I'm saying, numbered up, the game's all messed up in my opinion.
No, Sam, listen, it's not messed up because I keep saying there's a class of people where they're not having those problems. So what I'm doing is.
Okay, but why?
No, Sam, hold on, Sam. You asked the question, Sam, and I'm giving the reality of how people actually make it. You want to know what advice do you give them? I'm giving you the advice of people who actually make it work. You keep talking about people who don't make it work.
No, but you're speaking on older people.
I'm not. I'm talking about people who are still doing this today. The affluent, they continue to marry. They didn't break away from the things that I'm talking about. They continue to educate. That's what Patrick is saying. You educate your children. So you need to be able to educate your boys and your girls about the difference about just feeling good and choosing someone who's compatible. The thing that keeps marriages
what's actually happening in this state that we're in today. I understand the education, but I mean, in reality, what is really going on right now?
You're talking about specific socioeconomic classes. So how do you break out of that lower socioeconomic
what's really going on right now, though?
And so how do you break out of that cycle?
Everybody realizes what's going on today is messed up. But what's being said is that there needs to be an education, whether or not it comes from experience or whether or not it comes from somebody.
No, I agree with you.
The people who have done it.
I agree with you.
If you agree,
I fully agree.
Then why do you keep saying it? Okay, so you agree, and Ted, I did. Oh boy.
No, I'm not. No,
Ted's bringing.
I understand what you're saying.
Brett,
don't get me wrong.
Bringing forth the point. All right, that's the point. In order to provide the solution is to follow the example of the people in the upper, the affluent class who have apparently found the solution. They do not have a relationship apparently out of just love. They do not marry out of just love. They marry out of a socioeconomic background.
No, I get what you're saying.
And the advice to young, and the advice to young people is,
but in reality, what are the young generations following? What's influencing them right now? It's not.
I'm agreeing with you, Sam. I'm agreeing with you. That the people who are following social media, they need to be what? Be educated or educated on how to do it. So you sit down with your son, who's 13, 14, 15, and 16, right? And you say to him, look, you're saying don't have a relationship. I'm saying, yeah, you can have a relationship, but don't fall into love. And if you do, try to make sure that she is right for you. And how do you do that? You can go to a lawyer or go online. There's a lot of information online. But as you were saying, continue on with your purpose and do not marry unless you have a prenup, no matter if you're in middle class, lower class, or upper class, and don't marry unless that woman is financially more compatible than emotionally compatible. Am I saying it right, Ted?
Yeah, you're. So what I'm getting at is also, in addition to what you just said, Joe, is you need to teach him how to interview a woman who's right for him. Because if he doesn't know what to look for, you're just telling him go on his purpose work, and then he's gonna make the same mistake at 40 that he would have made at 20. Because he's got no education he's still depending on how it feels. And that's why I laid out the whole biochemistry. It's intense for men. And if he has this great feeling, he's going to think he's going to confuse that for being a compatible person because it feels good. And whether the woman is playing him or they're both could be the blind leading the blind. Neither one knows what they're doing because they don't know what to look for.
No, I agree. What you're saying makes sense.
Sam, hold on. Sam,
you ever heard the saying
Sam,
that a man is never a man until they had his heart broken?
No, listen. It's got nothing to do with broken hearts. What I'm talking about I'm answering your question. What do you tell a young man? So Patrick brought up a great point. A guy's 27. He's doing well in his career. He wants to have children. Hell, he may have a business that's growing and he can see the trajectory and he wants to pass this business on to a son. The best environment to raise his son and daughter will be in a 2-parent household. The second best is a single father. Except while he's working, he needs someone to care for those children. You can't just ignore that, right? You can't just go to work and leave an infant home alone. So so how do you find a woman who's compatible? And you need to know how, and I'm going to use a crude word, you need to know how to interrogate a woman to see if she's compatible. If you really mean business and that's what you want marriage, you first need to have a really good understanding of yourself, right? So just going out chasing dollars is good, but if you don't understand yourself, you won't know what's compatible. So if you're as a father, you need to be talking to your son about, how does this woman manage money, right? You need to look at her family. These are things that you need to look for to see how well she manages money. Is it compatible? You want to have children. How does she want to educate? Does she just think sending them to a private school? Or do you want your children homeschooled, right? Or you want to send them to private? Or you're willing to make that investment? How does she resolve conflict? You're going to have conflict. So how does her family, find out how her parents resolve conflict? She comes from a 1-parent household. She may not know how to resolve conflict. These are things that you are educating your son to specifically look for so he can weed out the trash and get what he wants, so he's not depending on just a good feeling. And those things are a small part of the education that you give to this young man. But as Joe was saying, you're not giving it to him as 27. You've been giving this to him while he's growing up. He's 12. He's 10, 15.
10 seconds.
And it dovetails from what you're saying. How does a man pick a woman that's compatible? I've said this on your show. This is something which I've advised over years to people. Before you get into a relationship, you sit down with the person that you want to get into a relationship with. You've been dating her for 3 or 4 months, you think she's the one. But you sit down with a piece of paper and you write out on the piece of paper what you like about each other, what you don't like about each other, what are the deal breakers, what are the consequences in case the person goes back on their word, and how do you resolve conflict?
Exactly.
Now, those 2 little attributes, I'll tell you that is later. But that's what I've said on the show and on other people's shows. Sit down objectively. Find out what you like. Find out if you are compatible or incompatible. Because to me, if your person says to me, yes, I can show up on time, but then she doesn't show up on time.
Exactly.
Yes, I have no problems washing the dishes when I come home after work, but she doesn't want to wash the dishes. To me, she's a liar. And I know after a while, not after 10 years, but after a year in the relationship, she has to go because of I've written down the
Yeah, I agree with
qualifiers.
this.
That's my solution. Okay?
Yeah, it should be more of a practical, rational decision as opposed to just an emotional decision. But I think, and I have a question for everyone. Do you think culture has anything to do with it? Because I even have nieces that are, have graduated, 4 years out of school, and them and their friends are still single, but they're going to all the Asian girls' weddings. Now the Asian girls are getting the same education. The Asian girls are getting the same education that they're getting, but they're able to navigate getting the education, having a career, and at least starting a family and putting together a family.
Yes,
While the
culture.
other women are struggling.
It's not just culture, gentlemen, but it's also outside influence of this feminism behavior. It's who they listening to and what they internalize, Mr. Joe.
But
It ain't just culture, man.
hey, Patrick.
Oh, you're right, Kendrick. You're right. Sam is right, and Patrick is right. Culture and self-preservation. The culture kind of feminism brainwashed a lot of men and women. The culture brainwashes men and women, but we all act on our own, what we think is our own self. So there are a lot of people who think that marriage is in their own self-interest, while in other cultures like the Amish or the Mormons or the Muslims, the self-interest is, I will not disobey this culture because I will get my head. It has a lot to do with it, self-preservation and education. Other than that,
when me personally, Mr. Joe, it was either you train your wife or you leave women alone, or you just fornicate. That's how I was brought up. You just need to leave women alone, and if you ain't married them, leave them alone. That's what I was taught.
Right, and that's fine, but that there does then Joe brings up a great point. You have your individual, so you have to protect your individual. Let's say you're in a group or a certain a certain demographic or something, right? Like a certain culture, and it's just you guys. Now everybody can stay single and not have children, but then the group dies out. So where does the responsibility for the group come in? That's another dynamic that we hadn't discussed. Do you have a responsibility for the group?
That's a good question. I like how you posed it, and you really kind of caught me off guard with that question as far as the responsibility to the whole group. Because we were taught being responsible for individuals. You know what I'm saying? We were taught take accountability for your own individual self. So I like it.
What I tell a lot of young men I speak to, and I say young, I mean like 35 and under. I just try to speak on the level they can get, but I just pretty much tell them, yo, because a lot of them already have children, they got baby mamas and stuff. I just try to tell them before that stuff happens, don't worry about anything but yourself. Be selfish. Don't worry about your parents. Focus on you. Because if you're worrying about them, you're taking away from you. You can't help nobody if you can help yourself. And it's like, that's what I really talk to a lot of young men about. I don't talk to the bras and bras. All they do is, I ain't gonna get on them. But all I'm saying, I try to speak to the men, and they sit here and yeah, I get you. But it's like I've only had, I think, 2 actually listen and actually do what I ask them to do. But majority of them, they'll sit here and cap. But it's like they just too concerned with booty, and it's just ridiculous to the point. That's why I say it's a rap.
Hey Sam, do you think that arranged marriages? Do you think that arranged relationships would be a better way to go? Like a lot of the Indians in India.
I can't.
Do you think that arranged?
I've heard of it, but I've never listened to it, so I cannot give an opinion on that.
But I would, Mr. Sam, I give an opinion to that. I believe that'll slow a lot of this confusion down and a lot of these out of unwedlock, unplanned pregnancies out here. I believe it'll slow a lot of this down.
But I mean, how would that actually be enforced? I mean, you can't tell someone who they're going
to. But the culture that has an arranged marriage also makes the man the head of the household, and she does what he wants. So if you have an arranged marriage in America, all you have is 2 people killing each other.
Yeah, I don't see how that would be enforced. I really don't see how that would be. It sounds good, but I don't see how that would be enforced.
It's not a legal thing, Sam. It's a cultural.
No, I get what you're saying.
Even in India, it's not a legal thing where they make it. It's a strong cultural family dynamic that makes it so. So I wasn't talking about like forcing it, but maybe if that was more of a culture, let's say Sam, you had a son and I had a daughter, and they went through school or whatever, and then we both said, you know what, they would make probably a good couple. They both got their head on straight, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. Do you think that would be a good thing for you and I to get together and try to get them together? Because both of us, and let's say we were both,
I agree.
Their moms, and we all got together and sat down. You know what? This might make a strong couple and possibly a good family. Should we do this or not? And we all agree, and then we try to get them together. Do you think that would be a good thing?
Logically, I fully agree with you. But on the other side of the fence, I know he's going to see other women that he finds attractive. She's going to see other men that he finds attractive, that she finds attractive. So it's like, I get logic, but then I look at the other side. That's why I kind of I try to look at both sides of the fence. So it's like, what you're saying makes sense, but realistically, I still see turmoil once they start.
Sam and Patrick, they're both right again, because today, you're not going to have it. But Patrick, back in the 50s and 40s, that's actually what happened. Because, and would go to the husbands, go to mothers and fathers of the women that they were interested in and ask for their hand in marriage. They would have family meetings. They would have the families see if they could be compatible with one another, because they were going to merge with one another. It was a cultural thing back then. You've gotten away from that. So Sam is right about today, because men, they still want to go out and think that lust is love and they don't consequences.
But Mr. Joe, this my thing about when he was talking about with the lust part. You're supposed to only be looking after your wife, and she should only be looking after her husband. Y'all shouldn't be got y'all eyes on anybody outside of y'all's union, Mr. Jones. But that's what the problem is now. That's a culture thing right now.
You're right.
So here's a question for everyone.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of.
I have a question for everyone. What is culture? Because everyone keeps talking about culture. So what is it?
Well, I'm gonna give you my culture. I go first. Culture, as far as a group, I don't know anything about that, but I can tell you the culture that I had when I was a child. I think I told you I take my father in third grade.
Hold on, Sam. I'm only asking, what is culture? People talk about culture.
Then my mistake.
There's no such thing as your individual. There's no individual culture. Culture is bigger than the individual. What is culture?
All right, the culture generally, going from coast to coast and border to border in the United States, all the norms and mores of whatever particular country that is in. In our country, the culture has been taught to us by our mothers and fathers, who were taught them by their mothers and fathers, who were taught to them by the so-called elders, and perpetrated throughout the American school system. To put your hand over your heart, to like apple pie, to like basketball, softball, baseball, football. Those things that we come into experience with are nationwide. That's culture. Whatever comes down to us is supposedly wisdom from the people that are above us, the authority figures. That's culture. So whatever we eat, drink, see, like, taste, that's given to us from the people who are here before us, and goes from coast to coast. That's culture to me.
Okay. Anyone else?
Traditions, Mr. T.
That's culture too, sure.
Do anyone know
That was
what?
the only thing that popped in my mind.
All right. Does anyone know
Okay,
what?
can I say this right here?
Go ahead.
This is kind of on a question, but it's different. Like I said, I was raised with my mother.
No.
I'm not getting deep,
No,
but-
no individual.
I'm not speaking on culture, but I'm trying to say
No. You're taking us in a different way.
influence.
No. That's not the conversation I'm asking. I'm asking
Okay, I'll wait
something
till later.
very specific.
That's why I said it's
and
not really on
I don't
culture.
want us to go off track
Okay.
of what I'm asking at all. It's
Okay,
either
I
you
get you.
answer what is culture, or you're gonna have to wait until we can nail down what culture is.
T,
Okay.
another thought just popped in my head. Could culture represent the people, or is that the people an individual thing?
There's no such thing as individual culture.
You know what I'm saying? I'm glad you caught on to what I'm saying, because I had got confused there on a minute
Yeah.
when I thought that the culture was the people. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Well, the culture is the widely accepted, widely perceived values of whatever that group is. If the group is the nation, that's cool. If the group is a Black community, fine. If it's an Asian community, fine. Whatever is that particular acceptable values of that particular group, large or small. And the cultures change. We've had, let me see, way back when people were married, the culture was the man was the absolute boss, the woman was a slave, but she knew her place. Now, the culture is widely accepted that women are supposedly, at least in their mind, they're on the same level as men.
Right.
That's the culture nowadays. That's the perceived so-called reality, which was not the cultural reality of the 50s, 40s, etc. So it's a widely perceived, taught lesson from our ancestors to the descendants, in my opinion.
Okay. So I'm gonna. Here's what.
Okay, let me say, is there such thing as, right now you hear a lot about dark culture and other kind of cultures, but the culture we hear about today have nothing to do with the family.
No. Listen, I'm only
It has pretty
asking.
much
Sam,
everything to do
I don't want to
outside
talk
of the
about
family.
different cultures. I'm only asking. We're not going to
No,
deviate from
I'm
this
just saying
question.
that the culture we have
What
now
is
really don't
culture?
have
What is culture? That's if you're not going to answer that question.
that's what I'm saying.
What is?
But see,
All
that's
right.
pertaining to your question. The definition of culture now, in my opinion, has changed. Culture now
No,
is kind of like
Sam.
influences,
I'm not asking that.
and it's not really family oriented.
Sam.
Okay.
I'm not
okay.
asking that.
Okay.
I'm only asking what. I don't
Okay.
care about changing. What is culture?
I got you.
So, does anyone know what social anthropologists say culture is?
I guess culture is who you is, Ted.
No. Does anyone know what social anthropologists say culture is?
Anthropology.
All
Yeah.
anthropologists.
These are the experts in culture. Social anthropologists. That is their expertise. Culture. That's what they deal with. Does anyone know what they say culture is?
No, I don't, but please enlighten me. Please do.
Anyone know what they
Me
say?
too.
Okay.
I don't have a clue.
So social anthropologists, they say, regardless of the time period, It doesn't matter if it's last year or 1,000 years ago or 100,000 years ago or in the future. Culture is a network of conversations. It's what people say, and it includes what they don't say. So it includes what's spoken and what's unspoken. And that spoken could be written, it could come out of movies, it could come out of your family. But and when you look at a corporation, one of the things corporations often want to do is transform their culture. So the culture can produce different results that it's never done before. And to transform a corporate culture, you're not doing anything to people. You're literally transforming the conversations in the corporation so that the outcomes and how you get there and how people see themselves and how they see the clients is transformed. It is a network of conversations. So when you guys talk about the feminists, what they did was created an entirely new network of conversations that says, women, you're equal to men, you're better than men. And all they did was create a conversation. And what you saw follow that conversation was new behavior. And that's what we're dealing with. So when we were talking about education, education is just conversations you're having with people so that they can produce certain results. But if you let outside forces, what someone was saying in the chat, continuously educate your people, and you don't do anything to counteract that, the network of conversations that's coming from the outside, your children will only follow the dominant conversations they keep hearing over and over.
You're breaking up, Ted. I can barely hear you now, man.
Did anyone hear me?
Yeah, you have been breaking up, Ted.
Okay. All right.
Could you please repeat yourself? Because
hold on.
We kind of lost you on the
Hold on. Let me see if on YouTube, am I breaking up or can you guys hear me clearly on YouTube?
Yeah, you kind of breaking up, but I can hear you fine now.
No. I was breaking up on. Really interesting. Huh. Okay. Social anthropologists say that a culture is a network of conversations. Okay, so on YouTube, I'm clear. Got it. Did you all hear that? What social anthropologists call a culture? Did you guys hear that? Or am I lost?
You're breaking up real bad, Ted.
I'm breaking up badly. Wow.
Yeah.
That's not good. But I'm coming through clear on YouTube. I may have to shut down. I may be my Wi-Fi might be overloaded. I'm gonna shut down on Instagram.
Well, now you're better.
Yeah, you're fine now.
Okay. So maybe I have to not speak so loud. Okay. So social anthropologists, they say that culture is a network of conversations. That's all that a culture is. It's not what people do, because what people do is an exact correlate. It's a reflection of the conversations. So all babies are born knowing nothing, and you introduce them to conversation. So for example, you guys were saying good things, how the feminists have told women you are an equal to a man. Am I still coming through clearly? Am I still clear or breaking up?
You're coming through better than before. Yeah, a little better than before.
I'm still breaking up though?
No, you're breaking up, but I can still hear you through the break.
All right, I'm gonna.
You're about 80%. It's kind of in and out, but it's better.
Okay, I just shut off Instagram. My Wi-Fi may not be handled. Am I coming through better now?
Yeah, now you are.
Okay, yeah, I just shut down something. Okay, so I think you guys heard me say social anthropologists say that culture is just a network of conversations. It's what people say, but it also includes the things people don't say. Like every company has unspoken policies, even though no one says it. There are certain things that you do. Hell, I'll give you an example of an unspoken policy in personal life. If I go to any of your houses and I ask you for a glass of water, you guys are not going to get it out of the toilet. You're not going to go get it out of a puddle. If I ask for a glass of water, you're not going to give me boiling water. You're going to ask me if I want ice. You're going to give me something I can drink, right? Is that correct? Right? Is that, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that correct, what I just said?
Yeah.
I want to
Can
say,
you hear me?
Yeah, you're clear. So what I'm saying is I don't have to tell you not to get water out of the toilet. It's an unspoken policy that you won't get me a glass of water from the toilet. It's an unspoken thing. Even though, and that's part of our conversations and our they're sort of shared practices, but we get taught those things in conversations. So what I'm saying is that culture is so malleable. It's so easy to reshape. But we live our lives like culture is this difficult thing, and we're at the effect of it. And it's why when we're talking about when you educate your children, so either you're going to let TV and the feminists and the school system be your children's only source of conversations that shape their lives, or you're going to educate your children on what's in their best interest. And it's up to you as an individual parent to think about what's in the best interest of your family and the community. But those are just conversations that you have.
Now, see, that's why I was going to get on, because I fully agree with that. That's why I was saying that I can't speak on culture, but I can speak on the household. That's what I was trying to get on. And I was saying it's still kind of cultural, but not from a wide standpoint. It's from a household standpoint.
But see, Sam, your household is a reflection of the conversations where you live, in the country you live.
No. I have to explain it because it's not that broad. I have to really narrow it down. And that's what I was trying to get to. To get where we at now, which goes back to previous conversations when the father was removed. Before I stayed with my father for 1 year, my mother had me messed up mentally. I was angry. I'm talking about like first, second grade. I was through. I was cool on the outside, but on the inside, I was bored and over. I stayed with my father in 1 year. I learned more from him in third grade than I heard from my mother literally my whole life. He kept me away from all bad influences. He did not allow no woman to curse around me, smoke around me. He taught me how to cook, how to work a gun, so I wouldn't be curious and hurt myself. He taught me about money. He taught me how to work wash and dry. He taught me so much stuff in that 1 year. He taught me self-respect.
Well, hold on. Sam, I'm going to stop you right there. Sam, stop right there. See, how did your father teach those things to you?
That's what I'm saying.
No, Sam, I just want to know. Sam, I want an easy, simple answer. How did your father teach those things to you?
He showed me.
No. Did your father ever talk to you?
That's the point I'm making. Everything
okay.
He was
hold on, Sam.
It was right that he talked to me. He showed me.
Okay,
he pretty much did everything he's supposed to do.
All right, Sam. This is what I'm saying to you. That is what culture is. It's what people say. That's what it's. Social anthropologists say a culture is a network of conversations. Your father introduced you to conversations that perhaps your mother did not.
Yeah, I agree with that. But what I'm saying, he actually was a parent.
Sam, you're taking us. Sam, that's a different direction. That's a different direction. What I want you to get is that as men, and your question was, what do you say to a young guy? See, it's the conversations you're going to give to that guy.
But I think you're getting ahead of me. You're getting ahead of me because I didn't get a chance to make my point.
Okay.
What I'm saying, I stayed with him for 1 year. He reversed everything my mother had messed me up on. And then when I went back to my mother, everything got upside down again. So I don't really gonna say culture. I'm gonna say household. When I left him, my mother got mad at what he taught me. Believe it or not, she was kind of angry because I don't know what the reason was, but she made sure she could reverse everything that he showed. So it was like, not really, I don't really want to say culture responsible. I think it's the individual household.
Right. Hold on, Sam. Hold on, Sam. I'm really, what I'm after is so that people can actually learn something. Your culture is a network of conversations, right? So everyone buys into conversations. Your mother bought into one set of conversations.
Okay, let's get breaking up again.
Okay. So culture is just conversations.
Right? Are you there?
So really, you can't even
hear me? Are you there?
You can't hear me at all? That's wild.
Yeah, we hear you, Dave.
Am I the only one getting feedback or breakup?
Let me, Mr. Joe, you still on?
No, I think he's lost. Lost.
He dropped. But anyhow, Ted, back to what you were just telling him, wouldn't it fall back on the old saying, Ted, that it takes a village to raise a child?
No, I'm really, what I'm getting at is so that you guys don't feel out of control. This is all culture is what people say. It's conversations. That's all that social anthropologists, the way they define a culture, it's a network of conversations. It's what people say. So planet Earth has a culture. There's a culture on planet Earth. And then you can say there are cultures in different countries. The Middle East, Saudi Arabia has certain conversations, right? And one conversation could be about consequences. If you do this, the conversation is clear that there are consequences if you steal. And maybe there are consequences if you're a whore in Saudi Arabia, right? But those are all conversations that people inherit. And those conversations shape people's actions. It helps shape their mindset. So when Sam is talking about his father gave him one conversation, his mother gave him another, both conversations exist in the United States. That's part of the culture, right? We have these two opposing conversations, and it's the big reason why there's so much conflict between men and women is because you have one part of the United States telling women, like someone said, to be adversaries to men because they're the enemy, and another group saying, no, you work together and collaborate. And what you end up with is a small percentage of the population who continues to collaborate, and the rest of the country follows the other one that says you fight. And it's all happening in conversations. But
it seems like, Ted, it's happening simultaneously, though.
Well, that's what I just said. They're opposing you.
So it would appear that we probably need maybe one conversation to get the country back in order.
Exactly.
Do we still need multiple conversations?
Exactly. And so that's what I'm getting at. If men can understand, it's really conversation. So if you're teaching, whether it's your son, your nephew, your neighbor, the guy who works with you, men are going to have to create brand new conversations that support where you want to go. So when it comes to meeting a woman, you need to know if she is having the kind of conversations that you want to live with.
Right. Up front, Ted, we both gonna have some type of understanding with each other.
Right. And you need to have those conversations because that's going to tell you which culture. We live in a country where the cultures We have two conversations that are fighting one another, and that's part of that's our culture. Our culture is a battle of the sexes, which means two conversations that oppose one another.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up.
All right, go ahead, Samuel.
Yeah, I ain't want to cut my foot. He was talking.
All right, one of you guys go.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. I get everything you're saying. Don't get me wrong, like I said, but I try to look at stuff from a broader standpoint instead of more narrowed down when it comes to, but there's always different sides to that story. Let's just take the current generation. 18, 13, 24, 25, 30, whatever. When the girls or the women turn on the radio, they hear all my single ladies and all this stupid stuff they see. They keep twerking and booties everywhere and fat women talking about it's okay to be fat. I mean, it's like, do you think it's really salvageable?
Do you know why? Do you know why they can do that, Samuel?
I'm sorry, you was breaking up. What was that?
Do you know why the young women in this country can do that?
I mean, do you think it's salvageable as far as?
No, I'm asking you.
Every world star they show women,
I'm asking
asses and.
Listen. I'm asking a simple question. Do you know why the women?
I can really hear you.
Do you know why the women continue to have those conversations?
One more time. I caught most of it, but a couple of letters didn't get through.
Can you hear me, Kendrick?
Oh yeah, I can hear you loud and clear on this end.
All right, so tell him, ask the question. Tell him what I just asked him. Maybe he can hear you better.
I can go fine. It's that you don't have a hard time hearing.
I hear you perfectly. I'm not having any breakup. I'm only asking you, Sam, why are the young women having those conversations?
Why are they in the conversation?
Why are they having them?
Is that what you're asking?
I'm asking you, why are these young women? You just described what they're the kind of conversations.
Yeah, I'm trying to say they're influences. Yeah.
And so why are they having them?
Why are they having the conversations and influences?
Yes.
I don't really have to answer that. I mean, it's just happening.
No, it's not. You see, in Saudi Arabia, they don't allow that. The men don't stand for that.
What was that?
Did you hear me, Kendrick?
Oh yeah, I mean, just go ahead and talk. Right. I'm gonna catch what I can.
All right, so it's on your end because Kendrick can hear me.
Yeah, it could be me. I don't really know. I mean, my phone usually is great, but I can't really say things happen. But go ahead, I'll do what I can do.
All I said was the men don't stand for that. See what's happening.
But the men are not in the households to get today.
Listen. In the these guys are from the Middle East, live in the United States, and they're not having those problems.
I was told, Ted, that they wasn't acclimated to the American way. Does that play a part in it?
They live here. They live here. They see exactly what's going on.
But the feminist stuff, it didn't influence them to you.
It's because the men didn't allow those conversations to take over their household.
That's true. And
we all know that the black man is not the head of his household. Let's just put that out there. Nowadays, the black man is not leading the household, period. We got young men who may be the man of the home, but he's still feminine. He's still straight up. He's not a man, mentally.
Okay.
And he's raising his children who are now adults.
So you understand why I say he's going to have different conversations, meaning he's going to think differently. He's going to talk about things differently. He's not going to be worried about. See, I'm not worried about those girls who do what you said. I don't care about them. That they're not part of my universe.
I agree with you, Ted, because when in Rome, you do as the Romans do. That's what I was taught. But now, if them kids still buying by under your roof and you provide for them, putting clothes on their back, they're gonna do what you tell them to do. And that's what the Saudi Arabian men teaching their daughters. And they enforce that rule in their household, Ted.
See, men are living by a different set of conversations in the Middle East. Men in the U.S. are, I don't know if they're afraid to embrace those conversations, or they've allowed the conflict of feminism saying don't do this and don't do that. So they've been told they're toxic for being masculine. And they bought so they bought into conversations that diminish them.
Hey, I've been real quiet for a long time now. Samuel's correct. In the Western Hemisphere, or any guy that's in the country now, a man is not running his household. Okay, you don't have any power. She's holding all the power. Once you got in a committed relationship, once you've got a marriage contract, once you have kids and whatever, in this climate, you've lost your power. Your power is staying single, free, and keep it in moving.
I got you loud and clear, but let me ask you this, can I ask you something real quick?
Yeah, what's up, Vlad?
How is it? Because maybe you can explain it to me, because like I say, I'm just as simple as they come, but how is it that a certain segment of the population of men on the line, what Ted's talking about, the Asians, the Mexicans, and help my man, Lord, the mob bosses and the kingpin and all those type of men don't have these problems, but only the quote unquote Caucasian man and the black man have these problems in America right now.
Let me ask you this here, though. How we know that other races don't have that problem? Is it because the media is
you
not
don't
showing
hear nothing? Hold on, Mr. Samuel. You don't hear nothing about no mob bosses jumping on their wives. You don't hear nothing about none of them type of dudes.
No, that's the point that I'm making. How do we know it's not going on? Because the media is not talking about it? Or how do we know?
No, they live in my community.
When I see many Asian women when I go out, because where I'm at, and they ratchet as hell.
But I know Mr. Ted know better than me.
No,
I'm you know what I mean? With this. I see a lot of Asian women, and they ratchet as hell. So it's like, how we know it's not going on? We can't just say because we haven't heard about it, don't mean it's not going on.
Well, look at the teen. Let's look at the numbers. Teen pregnancy in the Asian community. Whoever's got beeping, go on mute. Go on mute. If you have beeping, you have noise, go on mute. What's going on, McNeil Bell? The statistics show that the Asians' teenage pregnancy is around 3 or 4%. The numbers don't lie.
So don't say the facts don't lie. And like I'm saying, all these crime bosses and all those types, you don't hear nothing about none of that bullshit with them. So you got some white single mothers and then you got white black single mothers.
Hold on, Reg. Do you have beeping? Go on mute, Reg. You keep having a lot of noise, man.
Ted, I moved away from it, man. All you gotta do is say.
It's loud though, man. No, you don't know how loud it is for us.
Oh, okay, Ted. It was the microwave that beeped when I opened it up to the door. I moved away from it.
It's loud. It's really loud, Reg. Keep going.
But hear it now. But yeah, Ted, that.
Well, to answer your question is again, you know what? Those races have a culture, and that's all I can say. They have a culture. American culture is we don't have a culture.
No, we do. That's why I went through the whole Reg. That's why I went through the whole thing explaining all a culture is a network of conversations. There's no magic, no mystic. It's not because you do a certain thing or drive it. It's what you say. All your culture is the conversations that people have. That's for a country. That's for the whole planet. It's for a company. And all it is, that's what people have to get. So that their men are thinking and saying things that other men are not thinking and saying.
Okay, well, Ted, this is right here where I disagree with you with.
No, Reg,
it's not my
opinion.
Media is the culture.
Culture is a network.
The media is the culture now. The media got WAP all on the television.
But it doesn't matter. It's what they say.
Other.
It's what is being said. And if you don't educate your children with conversation that support them to make better decisions, they're going to get their conversations from somewhere else.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. That makes sense. But let's be realistic. The average household does not have a father in it. The mother's on social media. She's not paying her children no attention whatsoever. She's too busy trying to make booty videos and get likes and all this other stuff on Facebook. The average man is not there. The average household being raised by single black mothers, and they're not concerned with their children. They're too busy trying to get attention elsewhere. So the children being raised by media, and like I say, they got WAP. They get all they show is rape. They try to promote racism. They trying to promote violence. And it's like the children, that's what they're being raised by.
Listen.
So it's like
the men allowed that. It only exists because men allow it they allow those conversations.
But the men today,
and that's my
we can't blame the men today for what happened to the men before us.
You're as responsible.
We got to blame
men today were not raised by men. No, I'm saying the men today were not raised by men. They was raised by single mothers. They hardly even see their father.
So you tell me your age group was raised by women. You tell me your age group was raised by women.
You're still a man.
This is real talk. This is real talk. Men today who have children were taught by their mothers to hate their fathers. So they don't know anything about their fathers. They only see them, once every few months or whatever, if that much. So it's like, I can't blame the men today for how they are because they were kept away from anything that could have benefited them from a man's point of view by their mothers.
So let me ask you this. When I introduce conversations to be, you asked a valid question. What do you tell a young guy now? And I introduce new conversations. And every time I introduce conversations that gives a young guy power, you keep talking about what women do. And that's the difference between Middle Easterns and Asians, because they focus on, these are the conversations you have as a man. You don't give a damn. If the women are doing these things and talking about that, you just don't deal with them. Period. And so why are we talking about what these women doing this? Who gives a fuck? We're talking about how do you build power, and if those women are powerless.
I get what you're saying. I mean, because you're talking to a grown man, so I understand you because I get it. But I'm saying the younger men, they didn't really have an option.
Yes, they do. You all see what you just said is a conversation, and until that conversation is killed, see, the conversation is we don't have a choice. That's a conversation for powerlessness. This is what I'm trying to say. Men in other cultures, they don't have those powerless conversations.
No, they don't need it, Ted. They running things.
And until men stop saying powerless things, as long as you say powerless things, that's your culture. Powerlessness. This is I'm really getting that all culture is what you say, and if you're unwilling
I'm about
to say
5 seconds
things,
behind because I got to listen on YouTube. But I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm 5 seconds behind. I have to hear you on YouTube. But I get what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with you, but what I'm saying, we get it because we get it. What I'm saying, I want you to think of my point of view. The younger men, they don't get it because they wasn't offered both sides of the plate. It was only offered one side. That's why I say that's why I speak to the younger men, because they pretty much are raised by 95% women their whole life.
Who gives a fuck? When are men gonna stand up? When are men gonna stand up and have balls and say, "Hey, this is the deal. This is the new conversation you follow"?
But how the younger men gonna stand up and have balls?
No. It's not the young men. It's the dudes who keep saying, "Well, what about them?" No, fuck them.
We got men walking around with skinny jeans, man.
I don't give a shit. I don't care what skinny jeans.
They don't know what balls are. What balls are.
No, they're gonna know by the example you set. If you don't set an example, then they're only gonna have the conversation that says we don't have any options.
This is pretty good, right? What I'm saying, they're the one who have the current children that are now the children who having children.
No, I'm saying
The
men need to
men
grow
who don't matter,
balls.
but the men just said don't matter are the ones who have the
Men
children that do matter.
need, if they don't have an example for men with balls, then they're gonna keep having the same conversation that a girl has.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. The current state we're in,
So I don't
men
give
are
a
not
fuck
men no
about
more.
that.
The current generation of men are not
I don't
men.
give a shit. I don't give a shit. Fuck that. That has nothing to do with me.
I mean, I get what you're saying.
Either you're gonna stand up, and have balls and talk about things that have power.
I get what you're saying.
You're gonna stand up and have balls and talk about power. So this conversation started about with alimony and palimony. So if a man really wants to get married, he needs to have balls and say, hey, you want to get married? Cool. I want to get married. I want to have children. This is the way I want it. How do you want to raise your family? We need to make sure we understand.
But Ted, men today are afraid
because they don't have any man to show them how to have balls. No man has balls to show them what that means.
Young men today are afraid of women because there's too many consequences. Women can.
There are no fucking consequences. You tell her to fuck off then.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I get what you're saying.
Stop dealing with low-class women. Stop dealing with low-class women.
Men today are afraid of women. Younger men.
Stop dealing with low-class women, and half the problems will go away.
But I get it, but I'm saying they don't get it.
Then you tell them stop dealing with low-class. How do you identify a low-class woman?
You know what? A lot of men avoid me now, younger men, because the way I speak is foreign to them. They don't get it. They've never had nobody tell them what I tell them.
They do get it.
They see me coming. They speak out of respect, but they're afraid of conversation because they are just not programmed that way.
All it is a conversation, man. The brain has the capacity to take on billions of conversations. Billions. Our brain
I'm liking this kid.
The brain has the capacity to do that. Stop underestimating these guys, man. Or they just need to see men who actually stand up for something and have conversations that have power. If you keep giving the power to the women, then you're going to keep having the same thing.
But where are they saying? Where are they saying these men at?
Which men are you talking about?
I ain't trying to be funny. I'm just saying, in real life, where the younger men seeing these type of men at? They're not seeing them because they hang around their peers. They hang around people their own age. They're not seeing these men. When they go out to the club or wherever, even with COVID, they can't go nowhere now because the government ain't gonna get on COVID. The point that I'm making though, they hang around their peers. They don't hang around older men. So they're not seeing it. They look at TV, they get brainwashed. They go on social media, they get brainwashed. The peers are brainwashed.
Then fuck them.
You get, of course, you have.
Why are you talking about that? Why are you talking about that?
But
let them die on the vine. Then let them die.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
They're gonna be slaves. They'll be slaves one day. So we're gonna need free labor if we're gonna be competitive. So let them go be slaves. Then. That's what prison is for, slave labor. They like picking up soap, so let them go pick up the soap. There are men who actually want to hear different conversations.
Oh yeah, now that's true.
I mean, of course, you always have your exceptions.
No, they're not exceptions.
You have your exceptions, but we have to be honest. You know, because I'm not politically correct. You know, it's like but I'm trying to be civilized, but like we have to be honest in what's really going on. The younger men today said they're not around men who they look at us. They call us old man or OG. It's like a joke to them. Very few actually want to grasp the concept. Most of them concerned with just ain't trying to be funny. They're like Facebook, Instagram, booty. And they not thinking about manhood. They've never heard anything about manhood. They were raised by rap videos. I mean, they don't know. They literally really don't know anything about being a man. This is my opinion.
Yeah, hey, Sal, I just want to say something. Do you know what manhood is? Manhood is responsibility and accountability. They don't want that.
But they was never taught that because they was man-made, but they was bitch raised. And that's the nature of it. No accountability and no responsibility. So that's what there is. So so I agree with you saying. Go ahead. Hello?
Yeah, we hear.
Hello?
Yeah, we hear you, Reg.
Hello.
Hello?
Reg, we
Yeah,
hear you, Reg. We hear you. We hear you.
Yeah. Did you hear me?
I said we hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. Everything went out. I didn't hear you for about.
Yeah, the telephone is real bad. I'm listening on YouTube going back and forth.
Okay, YouTube is
Oh,
clear.
you talking mine is?
Yeah, because everyone can hear me clearly on YouTube.
Oh, well, I don't know what I'm in this corporate building. What about now? I moved to another part.
Yeah, you're clear. You just have a little echo, but you sound like you're in an empty room.
Oh.
But that's okay. It's all right.
Yeah, because I'm in this. What I'm trying to tell you is manhood is
No, we heard you, Reg.
Reg,
We heard you 100%. I heard everything you said. I heard it. Man-made, bitch.
Oh, okay. Oh,
bitch raised. We heard you. We heard everything you said. We didn't miss anything.
Okay. So that's the whole point when homeboy is saying, they don't want no part of that. They don't want no part of that. And actually the women are suffering because this is what they raised.
So why are you worried about them?
I'm not. I'm not worried. I'm just validating what my man said.
I mean, why? So we have young guys listening to us. Why are we talking about what women do and what those guys? Who gives a fuck? The question is, what are you teaching guys who actually want something? And every time I start talking about what you teach them, you keep saying, "Well, the girls are on Instagram." Who gives a shit about that? We're talking about what do you tell a guy who wants to learn something?
Well, I ain't said nothing about no damn Instagram.
I don't care. I don't care if they're man-made and bitch raised. I don't care about that.
In the past 2 months, when did I say something about some damn Instagram? In the past 4 months, I've invited 4 individuals to meet with me, or even come to my home, chat, have a little drink and talk. Oh yeah, all right. Let me get your number. Not one has hit me up.
So what?
It's
So
ridiculous,
what?
man. It's like these young cats, they just, I ain't gonna try to give up on them.
Okay.
And they were all black. I can't speak on other races now.
Right,
I haven't spoken on other races as far as come to my home. But they were all 4 were black. They all act like they was with it, but they all fluke. They all what they call flake today.
Okay.
It's
let me tell you what's
they
happening.
don't want
Sam, let me tell you what's happening for me. When the young guys in their 20s, I'm talking all guys under 30, when we make an agreement that we're gonna talk on the phone, they show up and they fucking talk to me.
Matter of fact, I had 2.
No, Sam. Are you hearing what I'm saying? They're not doing to me what they're doing with you.
Oh Lord, here we go. Okay, then. So what's your point, Ted? What's your point, Ted?
I'm saying that if that's happening,
so you can't identify with him. You can't identify with him, but just because you can't identify with him, that doesn't mean that he's wrong, right?
No. I'm saying we were talking about what are the things you teach them. If we're gonna sit here and talk about what they don't do and what the women are doing, that's not what the question was.
We're not talking about what the women are doing. He is saying he's trying to talk to these guys, but they're not interested in it and whatever. What I was alluding to is that talking about manhood.
That doesn't help.
Manhood is accountability and responsibility. I think they're afraid when I speak to them. They're afraid, but when I speak to them, I call them out on what they're doing. Okay. And they agree, but I think that they just don't want to accept. They're not ready to step up. In other words,
I got it. Right. Look, if we're talking about,
you got it. Then what's the problem?
I'm trying to explain it to you, Reg. If we're talking about what do you teach the young guys, that shit has nothing to do with it. They don't learn anything by hearing about men who don't show up. We're talking about how do you make shit work. That's what they need to hear.
Do you think these guys, this younger generation, actually? Okay, I get what you're saying now, Ted. I get what you're saying, Ted. Okay, I got you now.
We're talking about how to make shit work. We understand what's out there. How long are we gonna keep talking about that? After a while, I don't give a fuck.
In other words, you're saying don't worry about the ones who don't want it.
I said it clear. Let them fucking go to jail and be slaves. I said it.
Okay, I got you now. Okay, I had to catch up. I got you now. I got you. If they don't want it, you can't force it to them.
Let them die on a vine. I said, let their mothers die.
Let's focus on the ones who want it. In other words,
that's what I'm trying to get across.
Exactly.
Okay, I got you.
That's why I started out talking about alimony, palimony, so they can actually know what those things are, so that you can navigate and negotiate. But even before you get to that, you need to know if you're choosing the right person.
Now, getting back to that though, still, you was talking about qualifying women as far as questions and upbringing and what they should look for.
Right.
They're gonna get played before they learn. Because the women ain't gonna. Let's keep it real. The women gonna lie. The women don't know who they are. So they still gonna get played before they kind of get knowledge.
So now you're talking about a guy
on what to look for.
Now you're talking about a guy who's unprepared, and
I shouldn't even speak negative on that. I should speak on what they should do. It works out in that.
That means he's unprepared, and he should get played.
So I see what you're saying. Even though they might get played, they should still do that. So I see what you're saying. It makes perfectly good sense.
No, if you don't understand the kinds of questions to ask and what to look for. See, a woman can lie where she can't lie forever. And if you're an intelligent man, you're asked questions, and at some point she becomes inconsistent with what she says. You look at her life.
Okay. Well, let me speak to the young man right quick. Young man, if you're looking at a woman, you talking to a woman, she got her pants up in the butt, she got that weed, she got a phone in her hand 24 hours a day, don't fuck with her. She got a tattoo, got a nose piercing, she got a different color hair. Okay?
I agree with you, Mr. Sam.
Hey, look, I met this woman, and I asked her straight, do you have any tattoos? And she said, let me put it like this. She said, you ever see a Rolls Royce with a bumper sticker? She said, the way I look at myself, I'm a Rolls Royce, and you don't put bumper stickers on Rolls Royce. She said, I don't have any tattoos because I don't need any bumper stickers.
Sir?
So that's a woman with a very different mindset. She came out of a 2-parent household. So a man cannot be afraid to ask what he wants to know about her. And sometimes if you ask a woman, do you manage money well, she can lie and say yes. I mean, what do you think she's going to say, right? Are you promiscuous? No, she's going to say no, right? So there are questions you need to learn to ask. Even psychologists, when they give you personality psychological exams, they know that they have to ask you one question 5 different ways to find out if you're inconsistent. A man cannot be afraid to ask the same question 5 different ways to find out what he wants to know, and then watch and see if she's consistent with it. That's what I'm getting into.
I'm just glad I was born in 73. If I was born in 99, goodness gracious, it's shit crazy.
No,
well,
it's not.
I was born in 88. I wish I had been born around that time when y'all.
See, Sam.
This mess out here.
No, it's not a mess for everyone. That's what you guys are missing. It's not a mess for everyone.
Yes, of course. Yeah, nothing's absolute.
It's a mess, and if you keep playing in mess, that's the way the world is going to look to you. I just told you about a woman just a couple of years ago who she said, I'm like a Rolls Royce. You don't put a bumper sticker. I have no tattoos.
I'm like a Rolls.
And she's down in Atlanta, is where she lives. She didn't live up here.
Damn, that's a different one from this garbage down here.
This is what I'm trying to tell you. But if you don't know, if you don't know how to interrogate,
but that's actually good though. That gives the men a chance to work on themselves because they see what's going on. They get the opportunity to focus on themselves. For the ones who ain't worried about trying to bust a nut and booty, they can actually get their life together. And then they'll come across a different plateau of women.
Okay.
These
So
women still make you know what.
Right.
Women still gonna be you know what, regardless of the financial status that you have of your job. But at least they come across a different branch of women where they can kind of get more options, you know, so it's versus what's in the neighborhood.
but
So,
that's
you know, it makes sense.
that's what I'm getting at.
They
Sam.
need a,
You don't have to deal with
they need
someone.
an asset, not a liability.
Right.
You don't have to just deal with people in your neighborhood. You've got to be smart about it. You see what's in your neighborhood. You either move your ass somewhere else, or you start hanging out in different places. But you can't be upset because the people in your neighborhood, if they only speak English, you can't be upset with them because they don't speak Russian. All they were taught was English, not
And
Russian.
also, young man, I don't know if we got one or two listening. I had a broad today. Yesterday, well, throughout the day, 24 hours. She got her own business and everything. She wanted to test me. I said, I don't test. You want to speak to me, speak to me. I'm not something you do when you're multitask. You ain't got time to talk to me. Don't test me. And she got offended. So I let her butt go. It's like, man, you got to demand respect. You're not something to just be on someone's convenience list. If you're not her priority, then you're last. There is no in between.
Exactly.
It may sound arrogant, but men, you got to be arrogant. You got to be a man. They can either take it or leave it. If you ask her to do something, she say, I got to think about it, the answer's no. If she say, I don't know, the answer's no. You got to go ahead and be on your tiptoes and let them know. You know, it's like, don't tolerate no nonsense, period.
Exactly. And you have the right to ask her any damn thing you want. And these chicks who've been sleeping with 30, 40, 100 different guys or more, you need to know that, because that, like you just said, Red, she'll be a liability to you. If women who say, oh, my numbers, that amount of people I slept with doesn't matter. Yes, it does. It does. You're mentally unstable. And I have a right to know that up front. And then I choose whether I want to deal with you.
We need to have a young man. So you've had one young cat called in. I forget his name, but he had the speech thing going on. But
he was 19 years old.
I would really like to speak to more young men who actually want to benefit and learn. Because like I say, where I'm at, I pretty much go to work and go home. I don't really go out anymore, but I'm not really coming across them. You know, so if I could come across them, I would love to listen to you talk to them. And I may not be as politically correct as you and civilized as you, but I would really enjoy talking to them. It's like, but I don't really know where to go. I mean, the Boys Club wouldn't have me. I tried to go to my high school to talk. Well, you got a record from back in 1992, so you might make it stuff about the excuse me. But it's like, I have walls everywhere because they make excuses. And I try to talk, I try to be a big brother. Well, back in 92, you was convicted or whatever. They told me I couldn't be a big brother because what happened almost 30 years ago. So it's like, it's not stopping me, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's an agenda.
So listen to this, Sam, right? And it seems like I'm beating a dead horse, but these cats come here from the Middle East, they come here from Asia, and they're not depending on someone else's social structures like Big Brothers and the church and high schools. They create their own. I dated this woman from Morocco, and she has a cousin. She had just come here. She barely spoke English, and she had a cousin who lived here in New York, and she was visiting, and her cousin had two sons, like 6 and 11-year-old. They were young. And the 11-year-old said something smart to the woman I was dating. And the father reached across the table and smacked him in his mouth. And he said, you never talk to an adult like that. He said, you're a Moroccan and you're raised in a Moroccan household. And if you have a problem with that, you want to tell your school that I'm abusing you, you go, and they will take you and put your ass in a home. But as long as you live here, you live under my rules and you're raised as a Moroccan. And his wife did not interfere at all.
So hell no, I fully agree with that.
So Sam, understand why I'm saying that. if men don't start to take that kind of stand and keep talking, see, you got to get all the culture is conversation. If men keep saying we're helpless, the courts, the government, the school, if you keep saying that, that's a culture that says we can't do anything.
But you know what they say?
No, wait. In that man's culture, he's got balls and he says, this, I'm in the US and this is how it works. You want to call the police, you want to tell them, you go do it. And if men start to have that kind of balls, you want to go do it, then go. And it's not even having balls, it's just being a man. You have the biological
but you know what,
right.
Ted? This was last week. Or this Sunday, right? Or was it Monday? I don't know. Anyway, this was last week. It's not anything I can do. Cause I don't like talk about myself. I like my actions to speak for me, but you can't see me, of course. But even the older dudes, I see the dudes in their 40s and stuff, and they still got the same mindset. It's like,
so why
should I care? The other day.
Why do I care? Why do I care, Sam?
Okay. Huh?
Why do I care?
I can hear you.
Why do I care about them?
Okay. Yeah, I went there again. So you're right. I shouldn't be focusing on them. You're right. I fully agree with that. But it's like my problem is I don't look for people to talk to, but I do take advantage of opportunities. And I don't let it get me down, but it's like it's really disheartening.
No, it's not.
The
man.
majority of men that I
not.
see are just not on point.
Listen. You
But I
cannot.
get what you're saying. They got nothing to do with the subject.
You cannot listen. If you're Russian and some Russian dude goes in your neighborhood and he's upset because no one in your neighborhood speaks Russian, he looks insane, right? The people there were not taught Russian. So if you live in a neighborhood where they're not taught certain things, you cannot be upset with them. They only have what they were taught. You being upset with them for not being taught other things is no different than a Russian dude being upset because they don't speak Russian.
I'm not upset with them. It's just disheartening.
You shouldn't be disheartened.
I'm not emotional, but I am what I consider to be real.
Look, people have what they have. People have what they have. There's no reason to be disheartened about it. All they have is English. They don't have Russian. Right. It's like, so for those who want more, they want to hear that. Telling them how disheartened you are doesn't help a young guy who wants more. See, this is what I'm getting at. This is young guys need to start to distinguish between conversations for power and conversation for being helpless. So if you're a man, I'm going to get back to the subject, and you want to mitigate alimony and palimony, you need to be having power conversations up front. You need to be interviewing that woman at your pace and for the things you want. I have women asking me if I'm an attorney because I ask them whatever the hell I want. And if they don't like it, I don't care. And when I finish asking, I maybe a week later, I say, look, you and I are not a match. This is not going to work. And I didn't have sex with her. You could say maybe I should have waited till I had sex, but I didn't. I said, this is not going to work. I had one woman say, well, you're wrong. We're going to make it work. And I said, look, I'm canceling the date. We're not even going out. I'm not going to give you what you want. And she still wanted to play. And eventually I had to tell her, I told you this is not going to work. You have the right to ask any question you want. It's your life. And this is what men need to understand. Men need to be walking around with power. And you need power conversations. Say that again.
What does a young man who is considering getting married, what steps, once again, do you think he needs to take to protect himself? We know about the prenup, but let's begin all the steps that a young man needs to take if he's considering marriage or having a child.
Okay. So the first thing you need to teach young men or boys, young boys, that you're going to feel good with a woman. That has nothing to do with her being someone you want to marry. Because if you marry a woman just based on feeling, you're going to be paying alimony, most likely. And if you live with her long enough, it could be palimony. That's what boys need to understand. We biologically end up having a stronger feeling than the woman does. A woman can cut the ties easier I'm talking, this is now science. She can cut her ties easier with a man, with her children. It's harder for us the way our biochemistry works. It's intense for us. So dudes need to logically understand it's okay to feel good, but that has nothing to do with getting married. That's where you need to start them. Because if they're only raised by their mother, or they hear all the fairy tales and they want to be the prince for the woman and they want to have all these good feelings, and the woman just lets him walk down the aisle based on good feelings and she's got nothing to offer him, he's in trouble. So guys, young men boys need to understand this up front so that they can better assess themselves and the decisions they're making. And then the things that you were saying, Sam, like, hey, I'm not tolerating this texting. If you don't have time for me, then we're done. Can't be afraid to do that. They can't be afraid to lose the affection of a woman, because otherwise the man is going to end up being led. A lot of women lead from the bottom and will just tell a man what he wants to hear and make him feel like he's leading. And she'll milk you financially. Am I answering your question?
Sounded pretty good to me, Teddy. Oh, yeah, one point.
So the thing that they say works for a relationship, and marriage, fiance, cohabitate, those are titles for a relationship. What works for a relationship is compatibility. If once you think love is the foundation, I hate to use the word incompetent, what it really is. If you go into a relationship believing that love is going to be the foundation, you're actually incompetent, and you might as well start putting money away for alimony or to survive after they divorce.
Hey, Ted, you know who's the one who used that word love the most? It's a woman,
right?
And when she mentions love, she's not thinking about. She's not mentioning about her loving you. It's how much you love her. Because if you love her and you committed to her, she got control of your resources. She wants control. Commitment, love, and emotion gives her power in the relationship. So I just wanted to put that in there. But it sounded good, Teddy. Go ahead.
No, wait, Red,
hey, I'm saying right here. Hey, Ted, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I cut you off. My apologies.
No, go ahead, Sam.
I don't know if I told you about old boy who used to work at one of my jobs. We was cool, but I told him he told me about his wife, and I told him straight up she's a hoe. So I'm a straight up person. Wait a minute. You told him, man. It wasn't his wife yet. It wasn't his wife yet. It was his baby mama. So he was considering marrying her. But he gave us information. I told him straight up, hey man, she's a hoe. He know I'm straight up. He know when he talk to me, hey, you gonna get the raw. No disrespect, but that's just who I am, because I have to be fake a lot in order to survive. So nowadays you have to kind of cap in order to keep your job. But he asked, I told she's a hoe. So basically, a few months later, he came up talking about, hey, everybody going to the gym? I bought her a car. Okay. I bought her.
Hey, Reg,
I bought her a car. I gave her the game.
Okay, look like you've been getting busy. That's cool.
Hold on, Reg, we can hear you in the background, Reg. It's going.
Oh, he's sorry, man. Wait a minute. He told me I bought her a car. My fault. I gave an engagement ring. So I didn't say. I just shook my head and walked away. And I told him next time I saw him, you can't stay with me. I just told him you can't stay with me. I knew what was going to happen. About a few months later, he texted me about 1 something in the morning, like, "Hey, how you doing?" Now I already knew something was wrong. Ain't no dude text me 1 something in the morning just to see how you doing. So I ignored it. Then he called me. And I was like, hell no, you can't. I already told you can't stay with me. Long story short, they had children by the girl. This dude about 53. He got me by 5 years. Anyway, she done screamed rape on him 3 times, had him locked up and everything. All that. Long story short, I had to kick him out of my house because she had him locked up. He got out, telling me he raped me. She don't lie. Please know she lying. He still telling my man, but I love him. I told him, he got to get the fuck out, man. I can't help you. You stupid. You know, there's something wrong with you. But it's like, dudes of all ages, man, it's like they are more unrealistic than women are. They actually believe these broads care for them instead of seeing them as a resource. So I'm telling you, young cats, these broads see you as a resource. They could care less about anything else, period. Hey, Sam, tell me how many romantic women you have ever met. Hello, we still here?
I mean,
Oh, okay. I said, yeah. You know, women always like to say they're so romantic. How many romantic women have you ever met? How many women have I met?
No.
How many romantic women? Romantic women? How many romantic women have I met? Mm-hmm. And man, women don't want no romance. They don't, man. From my perspective,
Hold on. Sam.
Listen, it's a trick question.
Sam,
it's a trick question.
He's asking a question. He's just answering his question.
Then. Okay. When a woman tell you she's romantic, I'm validating what you're saying. Men are romantic. Men are the romancers. Women want to receive it. So they're not romantic. For you to be romantic, whatever, you have to have imagination and be creative. They're not like that. That's work. That's an investment. They don't want to invest all of that. That's, you know, like I said, they want to kick back and receive everything. Like when you fucking her, you don't stop hitting that. Oh, you back? She landing. You bend her over. She wants to receive everything. She don't want to do shit. So I'm just validating what you're saying. Guys had this fence.
Well,
huh?
Yeah, that's what
But Reg,
the collector,
man. But Reg,
yeah,
man. Do you hold on, Sam. Hold on.
Wait a minute. Hey, wait a minute. I'm getting confused here. Wait a minute.
Sam,
what's up, Ted?
Hold on, Sam. Reg, do you know why that happens?
No, but I didn't think about it. But go ahead and shed some light on it. I don't mind listening.
I'm going to keep repeating the same things because men allow it.
Oh, wait a minute. Why does what happen? You mean the women don't give nothing? No, they don't have no imagination because men. Well, you know what? Okay. Remember this programming, this image, this shit that's been sold to these guys for I don't know how fucking long. Okay. I over the last 100 years or whatever it is.
170 years, 1850s, they started selling.
Okay. So you got this programming and shit that they've been under. I mean, you know, you had to get over listen to Blue Magic, Stylistics, you know, how Melvin, all this love song, these movies and stuff.
Right.
But guys, I had to tell you, these fools are waking up now. It might be kind of slow. It might be kind of slow as molasses, but they are, but you still, I mean, you have a large number that, you know, they don't want to give up the fantasy.
Right.
Remember, they don't want to give it up, man. I mean, they've been fed it. They're biological. Remember, I told you earlier, you know, no species is going to be happy when they have to. It's like, you know, you can't act naturally. You know, you got to be on your toes. You got to make sure, you know, your natural makeup is to do this, but you got to catch yourself. So you can't be yourself.
No, it's not natural. This is not natural. This is all taught to you.
Well,
woman though.
Well, okay. Well, listen. When it comes to some of the biological shit that man do by nature or whatever, and in this climate, it's going to work against you. Okay, so it's going to work against you. So you have to be leery of that. I mean, you know, you look at a woman. I mean, you at work. You look at, you know, something looks good to you. You know, you look at it. You come back. She just say you still, you know.
Reg, we're way off. Hold on. We're going way off topic now. So that's too far off topic.
No, we're not. We're not. We're not. Because I can explain.
I
can explain it to you.
I want to stick with what you said about being romantic. See, this is we're still going to stay in this conversation about what do you teach young guys, right? So the reason why women can do that is because men don't turn that question around and say, what do you do as a woman? Tell me the things you've done as a woman to be romantic for a guy. And women will come up.
Okay, Ted, I've done that.
No,
And
Reg,
guess what I got?
Reg, what we're talking about is
No. It doesn't matter.
Guys.
I understand what you're saying is, listen here, this Ted, it still doesn't is, you can turn it around. I understand. I've turned it around. Were you romantic? What's the most romantic thing you've done? They look at you all stupid and shit. Well, what do you mean by that? You say you're romantic.
That is the thing. Men have to learn to manage that. So, because if you let them off the hook, they'll think they're responsible for nothing. If you say, look, if you tell one, look, if you don't know how to give it, what makes you think you have the right to expect it? And if she wants to walk, let her walk. But if all men can do that, so here's the deal. I made a video about this. I think a woman that I dated when I was 19, she was 21, and she told me back then. She said, "Man, I could never control you. You're the kind of man." Blah blah blah. Right? I saw her for a little bit, and then fast forward at 27, I see her again, and she said to me, she said, "No woman has tamed you yet." And I was surprised of all women. I never thought that she would say that. What I'm saying that to say is almost like women are on code and all know that they're responsible for taming a man. And even if you don't stay with that man, you tame him so he's set up for the next woman. Even your mother's in on it, right? So if men don't start doing the same thing and saying, hey, men can create entirely new conversations and say, look, if you're not responsible for being romantic, don't look for it from me. Women will get the message. But if men keep saying the same thing, then women will keep doing the same thing because men allow it.
No argument here, Ted.
So a man has the right to ask a woman.
We still here?
Yeah, a man has a right to ask a woman, what are the romantic things that you do? Some other woman, her husband died. She told me how great he was and how he used to do all these things to make her feel special. I asked her, well, what did you do to make your husband feel special? She came up blank, crickets, and then she said, oh, I guess I had sex with him. She said I would have sex with him. And I told that woman I had never had sex with her yet. I said, you know what? I don't want to have sex with you. We're done.
Can y'all hear me?
Hey, Reg, we hear you. Reg. We hear you.
You ain't doing nothing.
Okay. I told that woman that I don't want to be with a woman who thinks that the only thing she can do for me is have sex. That I don't want to be in a relationship with a woman like that. We're done. I told her flat out right there, if more men would take that kind of stand.
Hey, Ted, can you hear me?
Reg, we can hear you loud and clear.
That's Sam. I was breaking up like a ball.
Oh, Sam, we hear. Whoever we hear, we hear.
One more time. Ted, can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Ted.
Hey, someone tell him he can be heard. Reg.
Oh, yeah, he hear you, man. Sam, he hear you. He hear you. Okay.
And I hear everybody.
So I'm just gonna say this right quick. I don't know if young men on the screen or whatever. I ain't trying to be disrespectful to y'all or and the females that's listening.
I'm a young
man on here. I'm telling you point. I'm telling you point blank. Any young man who listening, trust no broad. She will. You don't mean nothing to her. I'm just telling you right now. I don't care how much of a player you may think you are, how much money you got, how big you know what is. Always keep your best interest first. Do not get caught. Okay, so she will get you. Okay, Sam. Let me ask you this. When you tell them this, when you tell them don't trust no woman, no broad, do you mean his mother too? You mean his sister too? You mean his auntie too? I mean, one thing Ted said that I agree with, the first one we should check should be your mother. That's the first one we should check because it's all about control. And as far as your children, like I told my boy before I kicked him out, his children were trying to set him up and he didn't get it. They were calling him. I said, well, your children calling you, asking you questions about when their mother is the one who's trying to get you locked up. He didn't get it. Oh, wait, children were his own children trying to set him up.
Hey, I want you, I know y'all probably didn't hear about this, but I got to tell you this story. A boy, 19-year-old boy, shot his grandpa 6 times because his grandmother said she wanted him dead and she wanted to collect the insurance policy. So she had their 19-year-old grandson shoot his grandfather in the back 6 times when the grandfather actually was headed to his dialysis treatment.
Was this for the life insurance money?
Yeah, this for the life insurance money. Yep.
Yeah.
That's messed up right there.
Well, I tell men, don't trust nobody, man. Trust yourself. I don't care if this is my opinion. I don't care if it's your mother, your children, your wife. Keep them at a distance, man. I'm just telling your man.
Hey, I don't believe in no wife. I'm sorry. A wife position is a traditional thing. That went out when gay rights came, when they had rights and this and that. So I don't. Like I told you, I can't fix this, but I can tell you, about how a man can survive. Now, I said this some earlier. If you want to get a wife or whatever, or have a family, you might have to go move to another country, or you might have to start a family in another country and go see their ass every 2 or 3 months or whatever.
Right.
See your kids or whatever. But not here. I'm not gonna tell any guy. I tell you what, unless that bitch got more to lose than you, she make twice as much as you, and she really that's where you have to go. She's got to have something to lose in the game. She got to have some skin in the game. She got to be investing. She got to earn. Like I told you, if she ain't earning, she got to go. She weekend pussy. 2 a.m. pussy out by 4. That's it. That's it. I mean, not unless you want to play a game to lose.
That's why you want her making effort. See, here's the thing that we can't escape, that there's a whole segment of the population who are making it work, and their divorce rate is single digits. And it's not and their marriage rates are not dropping, they're steady. See, we keep ignoring that there are people actually making it work.
Yeah, but like you said, they gotta, like I told you before, these motherfuckers need to be able to qualify to get married. They need to qualify to have children. They don't qualify. They're like, I want to have family. Well, what you got to bring? What you got to do? Well, I'm this and this. Oh, you don't qualify.
Exactly. What do you think I've been talking about? Is a man qualifying?
Oh, well, yeah, but you got to qualify.
But most guys.
What do you mean I got to qualify? You got to qualify.
But most guys don't.
You got to qualify.
Young guys don't know how to do that. Young guys. Hold on, young guys don't know how to do that, and what they rely on is what they feel, because that's what's being sold in society for the past 170 years. Is how does it feel?
But let's be honest though, most men when they having sex, they're not trying to qualify a woman, they just having sex.
Depending on who you talking about having sex, because all of us are here.
I'm just speaking in general. Man, when men out there doing their thing, they're not qualified.
Hey, it's a natural biology for a man to want to get his fuck on. Okay?
But that has nothing to do with
matter of fact, the hoes want to, if the hoes want to fuck just as much as you do, but they playing games and shit.
Look, you guys
they get them killed.
Listen, you keep muddying the waters, man. If it's about qualifying, it's not about. So you keep going back to saying, well, that's all they do. Look, if you don't know how to qualify a woman, then you're going to be the guy who find yourself in problems, because there are people who teach their sons how to qualify a woman. They teach their daughters how to qualify a man. And as a girl, her first example is her daddy. And if she's not there, then a man.
Okay, let me ask you this.
And then if wait a second. If she's growing up in a household without a father, a guy needs to hesitate. He doesn't need to leap. If she grew up without a father, she may be disqualified immediately. if you want to be married, if you want to do it right, she's probably a bad idea. Men need to learn how to qualify a woman for himself, not for the rest of the world. She's got to be qualified for you.
Real talk, Steve.
So,
He bringing something to the table, than some bread and some big old fat food.
That's right. That's right. Put her ass to work. Make her climb that fucking, make her be up. And she can see what she got. She quit. You cut her ass. Fuck her.
well, and look, and if she wants romance, then like you said, Red, she needs to be creative. She needs to think of some things to do for you. And if that's what she wants, she better be able to bring it. Otherwise, she has no right to ask for it. She better be able.
Oh yeah, she said. Oh yeah. When I come over, I want some candles. I want some candles lit. Shit. I want to sit back and just get me a drink and shit. You know, have a good meal. That's what you got, bitch.
Right. Well, I don't care. Make a picnic. I don't care what it is. She needs to be able to make some effort and she needs to have some investment into that relationship from her effort and her creativity. Otherwise, she's just riding with you until she jumps off, until she's not. And you get left holding the, stuff you don't want. And you know what? Sex is important.
Yeah.
She needs to be sexually compatible. If she's a woman who wants you to be monogamous and she's gonna have sex with you once a month, you don't marry that.
No, you don't, Steve. You kick it to the curb, baby.
Hey, can you hear me? I've been walking around. Whatever they want.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Reg, go on mute, Reg, mute.
Oh, okay. Hold on, Ted. Let me put it on mute. I keep forgetting. Just hold on, man.
All right.
Shit. Hey, Ted.
Yes.
What do you think percentage of that's women who actually make more than their husbands file for divorce? Because usually, I would think they know they got something to lose if they divorce the man. They make more than them.
I don't know. That's a good question. Something to look into. Only 4% of alimony is paid by the woman, so 96% is paid by men.
But even men like me, when I got my divorce, it's like I didn't want shit. Get the fuck home. But it's like still, because I'm not thinking about trying to come up or nothing like that. But that got nothing to do with the subject, so I'm not even gonna go there. I don't even know why I brought that up. Tell you the truth, because it's off the subject.
All right, good. So one of the things that they said, if you're gonna cohabitate, so there may be some guys out there who want a family and they don't want to get married. They don't want a government contract. They don't want a legal binding contract that's sanctioned by the government. One of the things you can do is create a contract with your significant other who's cohabitating with you. There are attorneys that actually do that. You can draw up a contract, a cohabitation contract. I think there's a name for it. What's the name of that thing?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. There's what do they call it? There's you can make a private agreement with that. You can do that. So because your question is legitimate, Sam, is that there are some men out there who will still want to get married and they want to have a family. They really do. So you can't condemn them for that. Or there are guys. There are guys who don't want to, let's say they don't believe in marriage, yet they want to have a family, so they want to live with their woman and raise the children as a family. You can't condemn them for that.
Right.
So they need to have some kind of contract that's drawn up by an attorney, and it needs to be more than just one page that says, here's how we're going to live together, and here's what will happen if our cohabitation doesn't work out. here's that, and that contract needs to be like at least 10 pages. And she's saying she voluntarily signed this. She wasn't forced. So you need to have very specific language in there, whether it's a prenuptial agreement or it's a cohabitation agreement that has her say, I wasn't coerced, I wasn't forced, I wasn't manipulated. I signed this for my own voluntary good because this is what I want. And videotape it if you have to. I don't care if that makes it better for the courts in case she wants to deny this stuff. But men
I
need
videotape everything.
Men,
Every time I come to my house, they on camera.
men need to actually take charge of these situations, because a lot of women will say, well, if you love me, you won't ask me to sign an agreement. Well, if a man can say, if you love me, you won't expect that we get married, because all marriage is a prenuptial agreement. And if a man, I guess the other situation is, if a man and woman live in the same city, they can co-parent. You don't have to ever move in together. You can have a child, and you have an agreement on how this child is going to be raised. And this way, the woman has her own place. You don't pay for her cost of living. You don't pay her rent. You pay no bills, zero. And you live in your house, and you raise this child together. And you have an agreement. I mean, that's another way to do it for a man who he really wants to have a family, and you just leave marriage out of the picture altogether, and you co-parent with someone that you never married, and you have whether you call it a friendly agreement, you still have an attorney. That sucker needs to be more than 1 page long, and it needs to lay out how you're going to raise this kid and how you're going to educate them, private school, but you need to lay all that stuff out. And that way a guy can completely avoid the whole marriage palimony and alimony thing by making sure that the two of you live by your own separate agreements. Hey, Deanna, I see you just came in. Yeah, we're about to leave soon, but but did you get that? You guys get that? That's another alternative.
But I totally agree with that, Ted, and that sounds like the right eye to you.
You can just co-parent.
I really would. That sounds like the route I take that you just explained.
Yeah, that's another alternative for a man who really wants to have children, and you have children with a woman you have a really good relationship with. You agree to co-parent. You let her stay in her own home, and she has her own job and pays her bill. Don't pay any of her bills. Nothing. Zero. Otherwise, you end up like that guy in Canada.
Well, Ted, that basically go back to everything what you said. That woman right there, you qualifying her. If you want to have a child with me, you have to be this, and this. You have to have your own place, this, and we can co-parent.
Exactly.
Right.
But she's also has to be qualified for the kind of woman who's going to help raise your child, right? So you have a lawyer draw up a long contract that says we're going to send a kid to private schools or public or homes, and she's got to agree, and she's also going to sign that she voluntarily signed this. She wasn't forced. She wasn't manipulated. Nothing. And videotape that sucker if you have to. But that might be the best way for men who really want to have children, is to just co-parent, and you can have some agreements. I don't want you having a bunch of different guys over exposing our children to that kind of lifestyle. You're gonna have to manage that. You want to have a bunch of different men. The child stays with me if you want to whore around. Or maybe that woman's not even qualified. Maybe you shouldn't be having kids with someone if you're concerned about that. But it's still a conversation to have. That's still a conversation to have. You co-parent. The two of you have to decide if you're still going to be intimate, and you keep your own separate place. And just don't pay her bills. I'm not saying that to be malicious, but you don't want to be caught up in alimony or palimony. She needs to be able to afford her own lifestyle, and you co-parent with her, and you make children.
Well, let me ask you this, but let me ask you this real quick, Mr. Ted, about the alimony and all that. So how does that prenup thing work, the prenuptial agreement? Does that nullify an alimony type of situation?
Well, let me give you an example. Donald Trump had a prenuptial agreement with his first wife, Ivanka. And the prenuptial agreement said he was going to give her $99 million in that a lump sum. And she would get the house. These are the things that you would get in the event of a divorce. And she contested it. She ended up getting, I think, about 104 million. But the agreement was signed and it said 99 million. So she contested and got very little more over that. So because she said, well, he's worth more than he was when we got married, so I should get more. In the courts, they didn't screw Trump in that. He had already promised 99 million. So she got that plus 5 million. So so you have to have a prenuptial agreement that makes arrangement. So in Trump's case, it was a lump sum agreement plus some real estate. Someone else might say, I'm going to pay you. New Jersey used to have a law that alimony was for the rest of the woman's life. I think unless she got married or was living with someone. And in that case, the woman could just never get married and never live with someone, but could date seriously. So she can keep getting alimony. But that law, it still exists lifetime, but it's been changed. A woman has to be married to you for 20 plus years to get that. So
well, it is a loophole though, Ted. I heard that she cohabitating with you a period enough time that she can legally get alimony out of you.
No, that's called palimony. That's why I just did the two.
Oh, okay.
That's palimony.
Let me ask you this, Ted.
What's that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, man. Keep going.
Okay. Now I'm a conspiracy theorist. Now, it's not just coincidence that particular, they always, majority of the time, give the children to the woman, even though the father is the more stable.
Right.
Even though the father has the house, the father has the money, they still give the children to the woman.
Right.
So it's like any advice you can give on that, as far as what men can do, if they do get married and have children, on how to be sure this bride don't get the children and get the come up. I ain't trying to say they'll come up, but you know what I'm saying.
Right. So make an agreement. Now here's what Reg was saying. If you agree on if you have a prenuptial agreement that talks about joint custody makes your children no longer yours. They become a ward of the state. I mean, in some ways that's irrelevant, but it's good to know. So you need to have
what do you think men can do as far as
I'm answering your question?
Kind of bettering their odds. I'm
answering. I'm just saying you need to know this. What you have it part of your prenuptial agreement is that if we break up, we're going to co-parent. We're going to have joint custody of the children.
Okay. So it's all in the prenup, in other words.
Yeah, but it can't be a one-pager, man. It's got to be a serious, a serious contract.
But I've heard so much about prenups being thrown out these days, man. I mean, I know you ain't no lawyer, so I'm not even going to ask you that.
No. I had a lawyer on the show, and she said the reason most of those prenups get thrown out is because they're one page long, and the woman just says, I was forced. So that she said, you need to have you need to have an entire section that says, I'm not being forced, I'm not being manipulated, coerced. I'm doing this by my own voluntary judgment, and I had legal counsel to advise me. And see, all of that's got to be there. And more. The language, this is what an attorney was telling. She was a woman who was a divorce attorney. She said these long prenuptials.
All this stuff these days.
She said the long prenuptial agreements generally don't get thrown out of court. A woman can contest it. That's why I brought up Trump. Trump's first wife contested the prenuptial because it was a lump sum payment.
We're not going to get married.
and she contested it, but she really got nothing much more out of it. She got a few $1 million, but you know, she knew her husband was worth a lot more. She was trying to get more. She was trying to milk Trump, but his prenuptial stood up in court. It didn't get thrown out.
Well, that's good. I mean, damn, it's just ridiculous stuff men got to go through.
Yeah, but so this is because men are not being educated on how to find a woman who's compatible with them. So you pay a price for that, man.
I don't think any woman's compatible. I'm just keeping it real. It's just my opinion. It doesn't mean a cent. But I've met too many women who have great husbands and they fucking with me.
Listen, you got to change your socioeconomic class, man. There's a whole group segment of the population where that's not happening. It's just not.
I understand.
It's not, man. And this people have to start asking. So look, if you want to go to the NFL and you keep watching dudes in high school and what they do, you need to start looking at what they're doing in the NFL and train like them if you want to go to the NFL. You don't train like the high school dudes. Same if you want to go to the NBA. You have to train like the people who actually make it. And if you keep talking about, if you want to be in the NBA and you're in high school and you keep talking about dudes, what they're doing in high school, you probably won't make the NBA. Look at LeBron James. He went straight from high school to the NBA. That dude was training unlike anyone else in his high school. And you can name, there are a few guys who've done that, went straight to the NBA from high school. But you better believe they were training differently than high school dudes. And they were not worried about how high school dudes trained. They trained for the NBA. That's what I'm trying to say. If you keep talking about, well, these women over here and these guys, if you want to be in the NBA, you want to play in the pros in the big league, you have to start thinking and training and playing like that. So if guys want to play in a big league and they want marriages that work, you need to understand what people do in marriages that work. All this stuff about, well, these women are on Instagram and they doing like, that's irrelevant, man. It's irrelevant. You either want to play in a big league and you're going to train for that, or you're going to keep talking about what they do in a little league. All right, that's the clearest way I can put this, man. So, with that said, we're pushing up on 4 hours, man. It's almost 11 o'clock. So, any final thoughts from you guys, Reg, Kendrick, Sam?
I appreciate this, T, because you brought some things to light, and I look forward to some more shows like this, because like you said, we got to change these conversations, and we got to get this thing back in order.
All right, good words, good words. Thank you, appreciate it. Reg, Sam.
I want to get more young people to call in, be on the panel, so we can just do a questionnaire back and forth. Where I can get it from like the younger people's point of view, not just one, I mean multiple. I mean, I understand everything, things is limited, you can't control what other people do. But I think that'd be very a good topic just to get young people on the panel who ask questions, we ask them questions, just go back and forth. So I can understand where they're coming from and vice versa.
Hey, well, I think it was last week I did that. There's actually a woman in the chat right now. She's only 20. She came on with me live last week and did live on YouTube with me. So, and she's 20 years old.
Well, I mean, I understand one, but I mean,
you want to see more.
Well, I understand one at the start.
Right. You want to see more. I got it. But we've got, look, if we want the young people to be ready for the NBA of life, we need to talk about how it works there. If we keep talking about Little League, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, Reg, and that's actually good, more young people. So Deanna, they want to hear more from you and your friends. Bring your girls with you, bring them over. And I know you don't have a lot of female friends, but you have some, especially whoever turned you on to me. You all need to come in here and chat so we can have a real conversation. Reg, your thoughts, closing thoughts? Reg, you a chef tonight? All right, Reg. All right, Reg,
Hello?
is busy. Hey, Reg, I'm getting ready to sign out. So look, if you truly want a family and you're terrified of alimony and palimony, and you haven't figured out how to qualify a woman for a wife, qualify a woman to co-parent. And that means she's going to have what you need from a woman to give to your children. And you can co-parent, just don't pay her bills. We talked about that case in Canada where the guy paid all the woman's bills, asked her to quit her job, and took care of her children, and he ends up paying her $53,000 a month for 10 years. So he got milked. So co-parenting is a way, if you haven't been educated on how to actually raise it, to qualify a woman as a wife. And it's technically it's not.
Hell, I can tell dudes how to qualify a woman, but I don't want to say it on public because then the women get the game. Because I can show dudes for a fact how to qualify whether or not she's worth it, but I can't get across the game like that on live.
No, it's not.
But I do appreciate everything you do, man. I really appreciate everything you do. You have some real subjects.
Sam, you've got to be able to qualify her for you. Not just a woman.
No, well, that's the point that I'm making on how to give dudes the game on how to qualify a bra for him. But I don't want to do it on like live where the bras can hear it too, but they don't know how to
listen. Do you know how it works? You actually have to have core values that match. See the people.
I get that.
And people in the NBA.
Well, I get you.
If you don't know what yours are, you won't know what to look for in a woman. This is not about having game, because a woman needs to be able to do the same thing.
I get what you're saying. It's just certain tests you can do to know, but I don't want to stress that stuff out in the open.
Nah, fuck that. You need to be able to just lay it out straight. But anyway,
I can lay it out, but then the broads can hear it too. They know how to defend.
The broads need to know how to do it too, so that they don't get with the wrong person.
I ain't done with it. Well, I ain't gonna say that because you want them to be here. I don't want to run them off.
All right. So look, yes, Deanna, bring your friends with you. We love to meet them. Look, co-parent, but in order for you to know who's compatible with you, you really have to do the work to know yourself. And Deanna, you had a good conversation with me about how you're spending time just being still and getting to know yourself. So a lot of people don't spend enough time really getting to understand who they are and what they want from themselves and from another person. So these are the things that absolutely need to happen. And people try to step over and skip over that, and they pay a price for it. That's what alimony and palimony is for. That's the price you pay. So with that said, hey guys, thank you. Love all the chats. I love the comments. We got really raw tonight, so I appreciate it. I love that. We got really raw. And I'll see you guys next week. And if you don't catch me on Fridays, you've been missing it. I do a YouTube and chill where we really talk about the intimacy. We love talking about sex that's on Fridays at 7. Have a good evening, everyone. And I'll talk to you. I'll see you soon next Sunday on Straight Talk. Take care. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right, player.
All right, boss. Thank you.